Hi, this is episode 262 on the Cultra Trail Running Podcast.
Cultra Trail Running Podcast. Running. Cultra.
All right.
From my costume from today that I put on for all of 2 seconds in a meeting. What is
Very
it?
good.
Oh, it's a butterfly. Oh, that's kind of
Beck, why don't you kick us off? Do the opening.
What?
Do my job tonight. Come on.
Oh, now you got me all knocked. All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I am not your host, and I'm not AFB. I am Evil Becky Burke, and I am joined today by most of the Cultra crew. First, Celeste Fong Ding Dong.
Good morning.
That was a little better than that. I want.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, kids.
Yeah,
All right, very
go.
good. And it took me a minute because I was like trying to figure out. I'm like, what happened to her eyes? And then I realized the color. I like it. That's
Harley
very
Quinn.
cool. I like it.
That's right.
The one and only AFB.
All right. I guess here I am. I'm not used to like that, but yeah, okay.
And in the first of all of us, I mean, he pioneered the Cultra Trail Running Podcast, Scotty Kummer.
So in 1992, I met Bob Dylan at a Bob Dylan concert.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think we did cover that last time. So
Did you really meet Bob Dylan?
I did.
it's true.
Was he nice,
That's
or was he
kinda
like we like went?
He said, "What have you been up to?"
Nice. He was very nice. Yes.
Did he really ask you what you've been up to?
No, I asked him what he'd been up to.
Did you really?
That story's so funny now because I've actually told people that story now.
That's the punchline of the story. The punchline of the story is I said, what have you been up to? And then he told me a big story and then he had to go. And that was it. That was my
But
meeting. Bob Dylan.
he told you like a half an hour story, right? Or a 20-minute story, something like
15 minutes, I would say. A solid
Okay.
15. Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Were you just like staring at him while he was talking though, and just being like, I
Yeah.
can't believe he's talking to me, but I don't know what he's saying.
Becky, you're telling the story.
Damn it.
You're doing a hell of a job. I think the better story now is the story of when I met John Waite. The Ain't Missing You at All, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I told him I was really nervous because I'd only met one other rock star, and that was Bob Dylan. And then he told me his meeting Bob Dylan story.
Yes.
And when it was all over, my wife was like, I think he just told you his Bob Dylan story.
Oh,
It's very good.
Anyway,
And
That was
because you
like a
met him in a
moment.
diner, right? Or something like that. And
He, like,
or
came
he
up to
met
him.
him in a diner. Or
yeah, he was
something.
like working in a diner, and then Bob Dylan like walked up and just said, you know that Missing You song? That's a good song, man. I wish I wrote that.
Very good.
he said that?
Yeah. Not to me, to John Waite.
That's
Oh.
like the highest compliment.
You know,
You know.
Ain't Missing
Like,
You
why
at
did
All?
Yeah.
I know the song, but I thought John Wade said it to you, and I'm like, I don't get it.
No,
right.
John Waite told me that he met Bob Dylan.
Who's saying that song?
The story is he was at a coffee shop and Bob Dylan walked up and said,
God,
I wish I wrote that song. That's a great song.
that is pretty cool. Do you know?
Yeah.
Now I don't have very many good like meeting people stories, and not that this person is all that famous or whatever, but back in the day, I met Frank Shorter at a race, and I was so excited to meet him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in your pants.
You said you said what?
That I'm in your pants? What does that
What?
mean?
I said, oh
Like
my gosh,
shorts?
oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. I'm like, I'm in your pants. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I love them. They're so comfortable.
Of course you said that because you were wearing Frank Shorter short pants.
What?
Oh
I
my
was
God.
wearing my little Frank Shorter shorts or
Oh,
running
they were
pants or something.
official? Not just, you were just not just wearing shorts.
No,
He
they
had
were
his-
ones that were like from like marketed from him, or they like had his
Okay.
name on them or something. And it was like one of like the only pairs of like nice like running things that I had at the time. And I just so happened to have them on when I met him, and of course I'm like, oh wow, Frank's shorter. So instead of being normal and saying, hey, wow, whatever, I said, oh my God, I'm in your pants right now. The people I was with were like, what the? And then believe it or not, I've always been this ridiculous. So like as I say it, and I'm like, wow, it's really dumb. And I'm like, shut up, stop talking. It just wouldn't stop. And I was just making it worse. I'm like, no, I'm like they're not yours. I don't have your pants on. That would be weird. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, I mean, but I'm wearing your pants and I love wearing your pants. And then I was like, oh my God, stop talking. And then it was just not. And sadly, it wasn't like a 10-second, conversation. It was like a minute and a half of me just nonsense. And he probably said like 5 words because he just was like looking at me like, who are you? What is wrong with you? I still, and then we like walk away, and like 10 minutes later, because I was with Team in Training, and one of my friends was like, just tell Frank Shorter you were in his pants. I'm like, oh God. I was like, I did. I'm like, I wasn't even drinking or anything.
And you just kept making it worse.
I did.
Make it worse, Becky. Go ahead. Make it worse.
If it gets awkward, it's best to just keep going, right? I mean, that's one thing we've learned.
So on that's what she said. The Cultra Trail Running podcast is located in the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut. And our stories involve Northeast trail runners or Northeast trail running. Our stories are real and raw, like the trails we run on. So don't listen with your kids at home. But you listen with your puppy. Is your dog around?
My dog?
Your dog's cute ears? Yes.
Oh, she's upstairs barking her head off. Barking. It's
I
crazy here because we're doing
ears.
construction. So my wife decided that at the day after the dots, the last race of the year, that we would come home and we would start a massive construction project at our house, which involved painting every inch of the inside of a house, a 3,000 square foot house that's never been painted before. And then she decided to add a flooring project onto that, and et cetera, and et cetera. And now she's learning that all contractors are scumbags and they all are liars. And there's all these games that they play. They work half days. They don't really have a crew. It's just the guy and his kid. They need more money. They need more money. They need more money. They need more money. They're almost done, but they need a little bit more money. We're on week 3 of a 5-day job. So the whole house is a mess. And then yesterday was the day that I asserted myself as an attorney and got on the phone with Edgar and told him that he could come pick up all of his tools, and then I don't ever want to see him again if he'd like, or if he wanted to finish the project, what he's going to do. And so now we have a deal, and tomorrow the project's going to end finally and mercifully. But we had to have a lot of talks about why I don't want to deal with contractor problems. So if Edgar, the contractor, has an issue, for example, like not enough paint, or it's hard, or he runs into a problem, I don't want to hear about it, because that's a you problem, not a me problem, right? And so I had to explain to him very firmly that the reason why I'm paying a lot of money to have someone else do it is because I don't want to have a brake problem or a sick kid problem. I don't want to have a running out of material. I don't care about his problems. Those are his problems. So
do you know what this reminds me of?
Huh.
When we first met.
Me and you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was painting your house. Remember, you were sleeping. You woke up. There was somebody standing over your bed. And I was like, she's just putting on the last coat. That's what she said. And you said, but why am I naked? And I said, because I'm putting on the last coat. Get it? Anyways, I digress. When we met and you were telling us about your story with the you rented
the storage locker?
the storage unit, and they were like, all right, you're getting kicked out. And you were like, you had like this great story about, you were like, yep, okay. Done. And then you're like, shut the door and locked it. And like,
well, like she evicted me and then she wanted to further scold me. And I said, that's like when you break up with somebody. Like once we broke up, I don't care what you think about me anymore. Like, I don't want to hear about your story. Like, it's not important to me. It's like, we're broken up. That's it. We're done. So you have no leverage anymore once we break up. Once the sweet loving is gone, I don't care what you think. I don't want to hear
That's
you.
Tap
right.
is runneth dry.
I don't need to talk to you. See, but that's
I
the
thought that was a great story.
but me and my wife, we love each other. Like we're not broken up. We love each other. So
Oh,
this
so nice.
we're learning together about things like this contractor.
Because
So are you all married?
yes.
I don't know why I had to just think about that, but yes.
She's like two Mississippi. I learned a trick. I'll tell you guys this trick. You can pass it on to your trail runners. What's the thing that you argue with your spouse about? Like the thing you argue about most. Let's go around the room. Like a subject matter. Becky?
Oh, you
I-
have your thingy on.
Yeah, I just
You can't
rang
hear your
in.
bell.
I just rang in. Running.
Is that really what you argue about the most?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Right.
I'd
Ding
say
dong.
so.
What do you argue about?
Honestly, we don't argue that much, but
Oh my
it's-
gosh.
Oh,
if I haven't slept in a few days, I'm a real bitch. So that's probably
Becky,
it'll be
you
like
guys argue.
enough.
What's the subject that causes the most?
Extended family.
None of you are on the same page as me. That's the good news. My answer is it's always, what are we going to have to eat? What do you want? Well, what do you? I don't know. Well, I'm not really.
Oh,
hungry.
see,
I
that's
don't
my
know.
responsibility.
What do you want? Back and forth and back. So I found a trick. This is how you get rid of that whole issue if you ever have it. Here's what you do. You say, okay, Becky.
Yes.
You know what I've been craving for a long time?
And I say, not on the show.
Go ahead and answer. What food have I been craving for a long time?
I don't know what.
Well, just guess one. Just guess something.
Oh, okay.
What your husband might be
Cheeseburger.
craving.
Cheeseburger.
That's exactly it. That's what we're getting. Cheeseburgers. That's
there
my
you
trick.
go.
That's the trick. Because if
I
I,
like
say,
that.
Becky, what do you want to have for dinner? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. Well, what do you want? What do you feel like? When we say, guess what I've been thinking about eating, then you're going to tell me something, and then we're going to pick that. And then you're right, and that's what we're having.
And you're right, because that was what you were craving, unless it's a trick.
No. You're not right.
No, she's telling him.
You're picking. I'm getting you to pick. And we're not having a discussion about it.
Oh, but I didn't know if you were also kind of just doing a little subliminal work in there too.
It's your idea, and I get to tell you that you're right. So as a husband, I'm winning.
You're winning a lot there.
That's some shit, right? That's graduate level shit right there.
That
It really is.
You know what?
Right?
I'm not sure. Like, this is really funny when you said that that's what you argue about, because my boys, who are identical twins, their big thing that they argue about, that we always tease them that they're an old married couple, is about who is getting something to eat for them. Like, they'll get home when they're very like regimen. So when they get home from school, they always have like a snack. And then after dinner, we have like our dessert. And every day it's, okay, what do you want for snack? I don't know. You pick. I don't know. Well, whatever I pick, you're not going to like. Yes, I am going to like it. No, you're not. You're never happy with it. And then like after dinner, we're all sitting on the couch. All right, I'm going to get our treat. Well, can you get it? Well, I got it last night. Why don't you get it? I always get it. But when I get it, you're not really happy with it. And then I know you're just upset with me. And my husband and I are like, oh my God, this is two 15-year-old boys. And that'll like really like, they'll like legitimately get upset with one another. They'll be like, he doesn't even like that I made him ice cream.
We just picked up some stuff from Home Depot on the way home. My wife's like, well, what are we doing for dinner? And I said, you know what I've been really craving? Said, chicken fried rice. And I'm like, exactly. That's what we're having.
There you go.
That's what my husband made for lunch.
See?
Chicken fried rice.
Wow.
I think you can like franchise that a little bit. You can say like, guess what home project I'm finally going to get to this weekend?
Do you know what ultra I've decided? I think I've been thinking about doing next year.
What's that? Oh yeah. There you go.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. You know where I've been thinking we should go on vacation?
Connecticut. Oh,
Yes, but then what
Exactly.
if like, see now I would end up being a dummy and being like, oh, what? Blah, 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 like something I don't want. And then be like, yes. And I'm like, damn it.
That is really good.
But
Just
I
saying.
do like that.
Think
Oh
about
my
And do you
God.
know, just on a Scottyism here, I had to tell you, and I looked this morning because I wanted to tell you that, was it the last time you were on the show was around almost around this time last year. It was before the new year. It had to have been, unless there was another time too. But you inspired me because we were talking about books, and you had come up with reading 75 books in the year. And so I naturally wanted to do the same thing, but not as good, because really, can I be as good? No, come on. We both know that. And so I was like, I'm going to try and read 50 books this year. And so that's what I've been attempting to do, although I am a little off. Only like reading, like not like audiobooks, but so
Audiobooks
far
count.
I am at 34 books.
Audiobooks
but you
count.
said audiobooks count.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't usually listen because now that I don't drive to work, I'm not in my car to like listen. So,
But had you listened, they should have counted.
oh, okay. All right.
Do you know
How
how many
many-
books
how
I
many-
read this month, Beck?
Two?
It's no,
Like 43?
200.
43?
No,
Oh,
like
you-
43.
You read 43 books this month?
Yeah.
Wow.
That
I
counts
can't even.
audiobooks, like audio,
Jeez.
physical, and
Uh-oh.
Kindle.
I think I'm in
That's-
trouble here. Scotty, how
Yeah.
many have you read this year? You know, offhand?
Oh, not this year. That's this
54.
month.
Oh, this month.
I know. Yeah, this month.
Oh, wait,
I'm
this
north
year?
of 50, but I think I'm less than 100. I usually make up for lost time in December because we usually travel. So, like, for the whole week of Christmas, we'll go away and I'll read like a book a day while we're gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'll probably hit 75 for the
And
year.
you count audios as well.
I count
Yeah.
audio, but I think I've read like one, maybe two audiobooks.
Yeah.
But not many.
So,
I
Scotty,
can't-
what's
I
your
I've
love-
read
favorite?
380 this year.
Holy crap.
More
That's
than a book a
so
day.
crazy.
Yeah, I do. Well, but I listen, right? Or I'm reading. But like I listen if I'm cooking or hanging out at the house or doing a long run or hiking or I don't know.
I always have to have stuff on, but unless I'm like, and I don't like to like have TV as a background noise at all. I usually like music, but I love audiobooks, but unless I'm doing something where I'm just focused on that, like driving, because I'm only focused on the audiobook and not driving and being
I get
safe
it,
on the road. Then I just can't like, I just all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, I was listening to something, because I'll be cleaning and then all of a sudden you'll see me just standing in the middle of a room doing nothing. And it's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh wait, I'm at the good part of the book. And it's like, why can't I keep walking around? Like, why can't I keep folding these pairs of socks? But I can't. I can only just stand there with my mouth open. That's what she said.
Now we know what kind of book she was reading.
Yeah, there you go. But you guys got to start pushing the product here too, though, right? I mean, when you say books, you mean podcasts, right?
There's only a couple.
Do podcasts count? Because I do listen to podcasts.
Not as
I don't think podcasts count, right?
Oh,
It
all right.
depends.
But
Those
I
I
listen
do
to a lot
listen
of
to in the
podcasts,
car.
too.
A couple
So-
of them.
What's your favorite book that you've read this year, Scotty?
Ooh.
favorite book this year. I'm gonna have to look. Give me one
Yeah.
second. Let me pull up what I've
Oh
read.
shit! How am I supposed to pick?
Well, you got so many of them. If we by the
That's
end of the
problem.
show, you can pick. I will tell you. Well, seeing as though you did not ask me, I will answer.
I'm getting there. We're getting there.
So see, they're not ready, so I'm just gonna jump in.
Okay, jump
So
in.
I decided I had read a book by Louise Penny. And she writes like these like mysteries and stuff. And it was like the first in this like series of 15 books. And I have to say, I really like them. They're not like the best. Like usually with like mysteries, I usually like psychological thrillers where it's like super disturbing and like they're like, and they found the person, buried in the basement with a bunch of clowns. Like it's just something really disturbing and creepy. So this one is more of just like the mystery, like who done it. So I'm on book 11 of that. Although I just finished one
Nice.
last night. It was all right. And I give my books a rating because I'm a dork like that. So I write down the name of the book, the author, and then I rate it from 0 to 5
Mhm.
in 0.5 increments. And that book might have gotten a 3. I think I got a 3.
Okay.
But my favorite book for this year is still the first book that I read of the year. And I know that title is horrible, but man, it was such a good book. I think it's I'm Glad My Mother's Dead.
Oh,
one
that
by
book was
Jeanette.
so powerful. Yes.
It was.
I'm glad my
Mm.
mom's dead or something like that. Yes, I read
Yes.
that this year too.
Jeanette, I forgot her last name, but she's
McCurdy.
right,
Jeanette
from-
McCurdy. I'm glad my
yes.
mom died.
From iCarly and some other stuff.
Yep.
And it's just one, she really wrote it so well, but it was just such a like, wow, kind of.
I got a two-way tie.
Ooh.
The best like running related book was The Long Way Home by Ryan Van Duzer. It's Amelia Boone's boyfriend. He wrote a book about how after he graduates from college, joins the Peace Corps in Colombia, and then he decides to ride his bike back to Boulder from Colombia with no relevant experience in long distance biking. It was a really good book, and I think he's a really inspirational guy. The other one was The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin, because it kind of speaks to my philosophy of creating and podcasting and, business, and just more about, being creative and kind of like screw the world, do what makes you happy, and attract people that are fans of what you're putting out rather than putting out things in order to get fans. So
Gotcha.
All right, what were the
Nice.
names of them again? The Long Way Home.
Long Way Home by Ryan Van Duzer, and The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. He's the guy that would produce like the Beastie Boys and some of the greatest albums of the last 40 years. He's one of the greatest record producers of all time.
And you said it's The Creative Act of
A Way of Being.
The Creative Act of A Way of Being?
It's called, my wife always complains I read all the colon books because they have colons in them. She doesn't like
Oh,
It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being.
now I get it.
The creative colon.
Yeah.
Book.
Every book she reads is like, Jane and Judy go to the beach for the summer, or it's like two girls doing something fun. Whereas I'm reading like, My Fellow Prisoners by Mikhail Kordadovsky, some Russian guy. Just like, why are you reading this crap?
And then you say,
So-
I don't really know.
I was doing well with my reading through the year, and getting through some stuff and having fun. And then I got hooked into Infinite Jest.
Oh,
What is that?
that's on our reading list for our book club. We haven't.
Oh my
No one's
god.
picked it yet.
Yeah, it
David
is.
Foster Wallace?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
No. Which is not
I think it is Wallace is the name on it. Is
What's the name of it again?
Infinite Jest. It's just I don't know. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like an ultra that
David Foster Wallace.
yeah. And it's just it's not an easy read. And I almost dropped it a couple times, but it's just I don't know, for whatever reason now it's like gambling. Like I'm already in it and I gotta see it through to the end because it's gotta pay off.
I don't DNF books. I put them on the shelf and I go back to them later. I'm always reading many books at once. I never give up.
Really? Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
I've given up on a couple, but
I
it's
do.
rare.
I've given up on quite a few books that I just know, like, it's like, why am I going to bother here? Because
I
don't
have
know. But
some least favorites.
this one, it's so, there's so much with the footnotes and with the index and with the, I don't know. It's probably, I don't know how many, I have it on Kindle, but it's gotta be like 1,200 pages or something like that. And it's just,
Wow.
like
Wow.
ridiculous at points, but it's also, I have to say this, It has the best description, the best real description of AA I've ever read in my life.
Oh wow.
No better description of it was written by somebody who was in the rooms for a very long time. I mean, I don't know whether that person had to, it's inside information that you're not going to get.
AA is not like a piece of the story of the book.
It is, but it's like a twisted, like there's also like a whole section where they abandon half of they abandon the whole Northeast or all of a good part of New England and force Canada to take it and make a waste dump out of it. So like all sorts of crazy shit happens. But in the middle of this, there's a description of AA that just goes into like what old timers are like in the meetings and the things that they say and how some of it is so fucking stupid, but it still makes sense. But and they just explain everything that you've ever heard in a meeting is in this book because he's not in a hurry to get through it. And it's like a long run. He doesn't like give a shit. He's just going to like say whatever he wants as long as he wants. And it's really, it's really cool.
I've gone to a lot of AA meetings this year.
Good. Huh?
Like even like in the last month, I've hooked up with a few old AA friends, and we've gone to a bunch of old meetings that we used to go to all the time. And it's funny. So we'll roll into this meeting and they'll be like, "Are you new here?" And I'm like, "Actually,
you're like, I have pants older than you.
I came here 30 years ago,
Yeah.
And but it's been good. It's what I've been trying to do since the end of Badger and more so since the end of Dots is to immerse myself in some non-running things. So I've been doing this morning show. It's a 5:45 call, just 10 minutes on Chicago weather, sports, running news, workout for the day. Just little tidbits. It's like a 10-minute show. You got to get up early. But one of the things we talked about is like marathon's over now. What are you going to do for the next couple months? And I said, this is like another spouse tip. I'm like, here's a tip. How about forget running? Say to your spouse, let's do a day about you. What do you want to do? I want to go with you. If it's me carrying packages while you go shopping, or you always want to go see this movie, what do you want to do? Why can't I be of service to you and to have nothing to do with me or my running friends or running event? Like, let's do something because you know what? We are the selfishest people in the world, and we find a way to make all of our lives about our running, all of our trips, all of our dinners. Let's go to dinner with these people from my running group. We're going to go on a trip. We're going on a trip with the people from the running group. Let's go. It's always something back to my run. So you know what? Let's just put running aside. Let's do something non-running. And the girl and Mandy that do the show, she's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought. I'm like, what would your husband want to do? She goes, I don't know. Probably because you're not doing that. Let's try to make our lives a little bit more fuller about things that are not.
I know exactly what my husband would want to do.
What?
Play games.
Board games?
Yes.
Well, so
I'm like, oh my God, she's going to say the dirty thing I was going to say. And then I was like, oh. Board games.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I was all ready to be like, what?
18 blowjobs and then board games all day.
I mean, we have been married a long time, happily. So no, he's a big gamer. Like if you could see around here, like hundreds and hundreds of board games, like hundreds.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great day for you to just say, let's play board games all day.
How
do your
about
kids,
you have
do
your
you guys
friends
play board games together, like with your kids? Like that seems like it would be such a fun, like.
And it's all gaming. So like we have a VR room and we have like all sorts of Xboxes and I forgot.
It's not like Life and Sorry and Clue.
It's
like those kind of games.
Not those.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not your
it's
traditional board games. Yeah.
Because whenever I would try to play games with like my husband and boys would be playing, I don't know, it was football or basketball or baseball or all of them where they have like a new one for the year. They'd be like playing those and I'd be like, I want to play too. And they'd be like, all right. And then I'm like, yeah, we're going to play this one. And it'd be like Mario Kart. or it would be like some other type of
So
Mario
bad
Kart
at Mario
kind of
Kart.
like,
There's so many
or
kids
like
out as
the-
Mario this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would all be like, seriously, that's it. And I'm like, I don't want to play these other ones. I just want to, or like a Miss Pac-Man, you know, if you can have something like that.
But the key to this is not that you like it. It's that you love seeing them so happy doing this thing that they love to do. You know? It's like, do I want to go shopping on the Magnificent Mile all day with my wife? Hell no. But
God, no.
she would just
Ugh.
be beaming and just, you know, all day, you know, joy. And that makes me happy.
That is,
That sounds
do you-
horrible.
So, but Scotty, so right now you do, and correct me if I'm wrong, do you do a long run every week?
Every
with
other.
A show every
Every
other, and you do a gang show every other week.
Every other.
And then you do this
it's a morning show every day.
show.
Morning
and you
shows
do-
Monday through Friday, and then I do Meet the Nation every Monday.
So you do
Cool.
like at least two episodes a week, right? And
At least
plus
two
all
episodes.
these
No, more
other
than that.
shows.
Well, but I produce the morning show, so I'm producing
Oh, okay.
spending a week, and I'm doing at least 2 or 3, unless I bank them up. Like right now, I just went out and reached out and got like 10 people to do long runs, and that's whenever they're available, and then those will just stack up, and then I try to get the gang shows to fall in there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they're not on a schedule. Like I don't ever have like you guys are doing like a Wednesday night. I don't have anything like that. Gang shows are, you know, I say I want to do a gang show. Who can do a gang show? When can you be there? Get a guest. Like I said, and it like we're doing a gang show this Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
Oh, okay.
So it's just whenever people are available.
I like that. That
Yeah.
seems fun.
The rest of those things they circulate around my. Well, the morning show is just it's 5:45 every day. That's it. You know, sometimes we record in advance. I don't like doing that just in case there's like a bomb or like the weather gets all goofy. Like I don't want to be like, oh, and then the Bulls won, and then the next morning it was like, what is he talking about? You know. So
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, it's a beautiful morning today. Isn't the sun just shining? And you find out like overnight.
There's like a
I
blizzard.
don't know, city
oh
got
yeah.
bombed or
Try
something.
telling people what the weather is going to be like every morning for that day.
Why is it that as people get older, the weather is so much more important, even though you
For
don't
runners,
go out as much?
Runners care. I'm telling you, Becky,
Yeah.
get your run in this morning because it's going to be windy and rainy this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Oh, I thought I was just thinking about weather in general. Like as people get older, they care more and more about weather.
I have no idea. They don't go outside anymore. What difference does it make?
Weather almost never ends up dictating my runs because I just end up going for a run in stupid weather. Like if I don't want to run, I'll just be like, the precipitation seems a little iffy for 5 hours from now, and I'll be completely done. Or I really need to get in a run. There's going to be 5 feet of snow and it's all ice, but I can still get it in.
We were talking about that today, that just like if you run every day, there's never any bad weather because you're just incremental. Now, my problem is I broke this rib and I took 6 weeks off and I'm just getting
How
back.
did you break it again? I
tell
remember
us
reading
about
about it.
Dog.
From your dog, right?
Yeah, just all of a sudden the dog's there and I'm on the ground and then I can't breathe and I need a ride. And, you know, I thought that there's like I was just being a baby. And then eventually we went to the emergency room and I really thought I was being a baby. I'm like screaming and crying. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you broke a rib. Yeah. I mean, so I've been out 6 weeks. I'm just about ready to get back, but I missed the transition. So when I broke my rib, it was 80. Now it's 28. You know, and there's ice and snow outside. And my treadmill doesn't work because my house is under construction.
And treadmills are awful.
Yeah, I mean, the virtue of the treadmill in the winter is you don't have to get dressed, wet clothes. You know, it's just like you just jump on the thing. A half hour later, you're done. You know.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I would
really
rather-
like my boys get on the treadmill now a lot, which I'm always like, we have the rail trail right behind the house and beautiful roads to run on. But they just go on the treadmill a lot. And one of the things that I don't like about going on the treadmill is we're all like this, but I'll be on the treadmill and then like one of the boys will come downstairs and decide they want to have this like meaningful conversation with me. Or they'll come down and they'll be like throwing basketballs back and forth. And one, of course, will inevitably hit the treadmill, which will stutter, and then I'll trip and almost fall. Or like the cat will jump on the treadmill, or it's just always like this chaotic. Yeah. So
I never had any of those problems.
yeah.
So Scotty, with all the stuff that you do, like, has running ever been an issue between you and your wife?
No,
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
does she run? No.
no, no. But you know what? She's there's so what I've observed over this, career of running is that there's different kinds of couples. There's like a couple that runs together, and they usually are pretty good. And then there's a couple that, he runs and she doesn't, but she has her stuff and he does, or vice versa.
Mhm.
And then they get along pretty well because it's like, well, he's going to go running, then I get to, and then they go do the things that they love to
Right.
do. Separate. Those people are usually okay. But then there's like, the one that just sits around and they're mad because the other one's out with you're with your running friends. And like, they don't volunteer. They don't. So my wife, she puts on the races. So she's met all of you and she knows what's going on and she gets it. And she, but now she doesn't want to be involved unless it's like one of our races or something really, really big, so it's never an issue. Like she would just be like, that's going to be the day that I'm going to do, because she's like me. She has 100 things going on at once too. She's a huge, important job. She wrote a book. She's always got stuff going on. So it's, it works really well, really, really well. I'm lucky.
How long have you been married again? I know I've asked this. How many?
15.
15. Oh.
Yeah, the issue that I run into is that, like, so my wife likes to do things, but we like to do things together. Like, we like to bike together, we like to kayak, just go out and do stuff. So it seems like during the week, like, it's like, okay, first thing in the morning, you know what, I'm like work all day. Like, I don't really look up. Like, I come downstairs, I like, grab something to eat, run out the door, whatever it is, I'm working from home, but still I'm like, busy. Then it's all of a sudden it's like 5:30 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I gotta eat and I gotta get a run in. So, okay. So like quick dinner, then I'm out and I'm doing my run and then I'm back. And then it's like the night's basically over. So, like, if you look at my available time of, from whatever you want to call it, 6 o'clock or whatever, there's like, and I'm running like almost every day, right? So that's like half of my free time goes to running, so it seems like, I think from her standpoint, it seems like, that is like a huge thing. And then the weekend shit comes on, right? Like, where it's all of a sudden like, yeah, I'm just gonna go run with these women in the woods, and it's cool, for a couple hours. And so it's
I'm gonna get up before you. I'm gonna be gone all day. Then I'm gonna come home and I'll be a piece of garbage for the rest of the day because I'm all beat up. I'm just laying on the couch eating pizza.
Yeah. And I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna fucking talk about it, because I don't talk about it enough during the 3 hours a week of the podcast. And like, so I don't know. It's tough, and then like, oh, are we gonna work on the, like, when are we gonna fix up the house and paint the house and do all those things, so it's I don't know. We struggle a lot with that. And some of it also goes back to the time, I think, when I was doing marathon training and I was a newer runner trying to be fast and thought that, like, this is what my training program is and this is what I must do. And, like
so rigid.
Yeah. Like trying to like, I mean, that was so much harder than the ultra training in a lot of ways, even though sometimes it didn't take as much time mentally. It took so much more, and physically it was more difficult in a lot of ways because, you're running as many miles as your body can take, working, and then coming home and just being like,
Curious that we let this. I wish Ellie Pell would have really good things to say about this. That we let this. This is a hobby. This is a hobby we do for fun, and then it becomes our whole identity. All of our time, we stress out about it. We obsess about it. We spend all of our time. Like my other hobby is I enjoy vinyl records. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't stress. I don't sit upstairs and go, oh, I gotta get the second pressing of the, I mean, I'm not like reading books about it and listening to podcasts about it and talking to other people, joining all the Facebook groups about it, talking about, like what is it about running that it totally fucking takes over your whole life? It becomes the only thing you are, is it's just weird.
I don't consider it like that. Okay. I don't consider like that's all who I am, because it's definitely not,
No, but you can definitely, but like with the books and the talking and stuff like that, like.
Yeah. Like that's the problem, is that like the podcast part of it to me is like a completely different thing. It's a completely different thing, even though it's the same thing, it's running, but it's like, this is more a connection with people. And this is more a creative outlet. Like when I'm running, yes, I can choose an amazing route. I can, whatever, run off a rock and click my heels in the air or some shit like that to express myself. But like, that's just like, what I do there is an expression, but it's very different. But in the podcast, it's like, basically, you think of something and you fucking do it, and it all of a sudden it is somehow, and it's more than you thought it was going to be, or other people show up and you don't even really know what's going to happen. So it's kind of like,
it is part of your
but
running.
That's
Oh, it is.
If you're a runner, you wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. I would say that if I were injured and couldn't run anymore, as much as I would like to spend time with people, I would probably not feel, I don't know. After a while, I think, like, I've heard other podcasters who have gotten injured for long periods of time say, I kind of feel like imposter, here.
Yeah, I haven't had a race in a long time.
Yeah. But I mean, you're also doing race directing, which is a whole nother, that's like a different thing too, right?
Everything after the bud is bullshit, though, Art.
Yeah. But
the reason why I'm not having great races isn't because
I'm
race directing. It's because I'm not training enough. I'm not eating right. I'm not doing the things that you need to do to be a great runner, and that's okay, because I'm doing other things too. But at the same time,
Then the other question is that what does being a great runner mean?
I don't think I have to be a great runner anymore.
Yeah. But what does that even fucking mean? Because does that mean like, okay, so let's say that, okay, I just ran Bimbler's Bluff, whatever, 2 weekends ago, 50K, right? The first year they had it, I got 9th place. Okay. I was rather impressed with myself.
Everybody says so myself.
And then I had probably one of the best races of my life, 10 years after that, and went faster than I did the first time. And that was even better. And then I didn't really want to race it anymore. But this weekend I went and I ran it, and I was middle of the pack. Okay. I was right in the middle of the pack. And you know what? Yeah, I'm up probably almost 20 pounds from the other race, from the last faster race that I did.
Wait, you weigh 20 pounds more?
Yeah, I probably weigh, 15 pounds at least, more than I did last time. And does it really matter? Like, because nobody gives a shit about the first race. Nobody gives a shit about the second race, and nobody gives a shit about the third race. So I'm the only one who like really remotely cares, unless I, if I got first place and won the pie, and somebody else wanted the pie, okay. But I didn't win the pie.
People though, but I think you and I talked about that in your long run, and that's that. There are people that listen to the podcast that have been through me being a notorious runner and me being not very good at running. Mm-hmm. And when they see you being not very good at running, then that becomes the reality of who you are in their eyes. Uh-huh. Because there are other people out there doing podcasts like Debo, who's crushing it, and that it's easier to admire him,
Yeah.
And, okay. Why am I a fan of this? This guy can't even finish Leadville. He's at mile 25. Like, fuck this guy,
He stripped over his dog.
But that becomes who you are. Everyone is the last race you did is who you are, to some people in this sport. And they lack the, looking at the person as a whole. And I would argue that let's take me and Debo. That's a good example, right? Debo's always been good. He's been great, and he's a famous elite runner, right? So does he have more to offer the everyday runner, or somebody like me that's had some great races, some bad races, some struggles, has aged, has gotten harder over time, gone through more difficulties? Like, who do you think would be better suited to give you advice?
Exactly.
Probably me, right?
Right on. But here's the other part of it, though, too. I bet if you ask him, okay, when you were having your best races, right? You may or you may not, you probably felt like, hey, I'm doing okay. But there's these guys that are faster than me, right?
For sure.
Okay. And everybody feels that way, and like you talk to an American and they're like, yeah, we're doing really great. I just set the American record. Now, of course, it's not as fast as the Kenyans, mind you, but it's still pretty fucking good. Like you want to talk to somebody who feels inadequate, talk to like a 2:30 marathoner, right? Yeah. I mean, that's amazing what they do, but
or a 3:05 marathoner,
yes,
just dying to break 3 hours. They're nobody till they break 3 hours. And then, there was a girl a local girl, Amanda Runyon, her husband, Brad, he had never run slower than 2:35, So to him, it was like, well, qualifying for Boston, that's kind of dumb. Like, why is that a big deal to anybody? Like it didn't really matter to him. But
time to go to Let's Run.
This is going to loop over into the UTMB discussion too, I think, because I think there's a parallel there.
Yes, there is. Yes. Yeah.
I think that there's first there's a pileup. There's always a pileup, and no one stops and takes a beat and hears everything out and thinks everything through.
Right.
It becomes immediately.
Fuck them.
Gary Robbins is a lovely person. I'm sure he's a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about him. But it becomes thereafter, this guy's hurting. He's one of us. And now, because we're runners, all we are is runners. That's all we talk about is running. So now I got to defend this guy against, the evil corporation. That becomes like the big the news article. Everybody, you should have Gary Robbins on. UTMB is terrible. We hate UTMB. Down with you. UTMB is terrible. Like there's this whole movement that happened, and it like that. And I'm watching this happen, and I'm thinking, well, first of all, there's probably a lot more to this story. And second of all, I don't know if I'm ready to pile on, And then third of all, it seems a little weird because I probably like you are, I'm keyed into the culture of ultra running and what's happening in all the other podcasts and the magazines and the race directing and and there's this whole thing about we want to go, we're big, we're growing, we're big, live stream, we're going to have a TV channel, we're going to be in the Olympics and ultra running's getting big, everything's big. And then now it's like, whoa, big's bad. No big. We don't want big.
That's why I'm watching this. And even the bigger, it's the people who I consider to be big, big. And part of like what I don't necessarily, I'm not saying I don't like that because I think that everybody has a right to do whatever the fuck makes them happy.
Yeah.
But the scenes that I just don't like, like the rock and roll marathon, or something like that. And that is actually part of the beast, but the evil beast there, but like lots of other races like that, I just have no desire to do that, but there's still like, we know people who like, as soon as they start ultra running are like, and are like, well, I got to go. Yeah, I'm starting ultra run. Yeah. I got to go do a Western States qualifier. And then I got to all of a sudden get in line for that because that's what I need to do in order to be complete or whatever it is. And everybody's got their own reasons. And believe me, I'm not hating on Western States because I'm not qualified to. I haven't been there. I never even applied to run it. I've qualified a couple times, but I never, for whatever reason, it wasn't something that I wanted to. I considered doing it. I would run it. I would go hang out there. I just haven't. But
I got to say this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Western States is nonprofit, and it's this kind of smaller whatever. Western States is big running. It's big,
fucking huge.
It's
and it's a part of the World Series. Money,
all the attention. It's the alpha. It's the omega. It's big running. It's not ma and pa. And they say it's nonprofit, but nonprofit doesn't mean anything. Nonprofit just means, the Badger could pay me, 50 grand a year salary and then say it's nonprofit. Like, that doesn't mean anything. It
Yes.
doesn't make it better.
No, I know organizations that run over 50 races a year that are nonprofits. And yes, you can point to all of the charities that they've helped or that they've been hired to run events for. But the fact is that, and they had a huge staff of volunteers and some very low paid staff people and some other people who worked and gave their whole lives to the organizations, but also were paid very well for that too, so.
Yeah. But it's just curious to me that, like, if Jamil started a big race in Wisconsin, we would be all excited. There's a new era of IPA race, and like, this is going to be great. It's and at the same time that if it's UTMB, it bought the Kettle Moraine. Whoa, that's terrible. I think it's more of like a insider versus outsider type thing.
Yeah. It's not the principles over personalities. It's the personalities over the principles in a lot of cases, I think.
So I have not been, like, shocking, hadn't been like too much into what was going on. And first, all right, before I say this, now you have got to figure it out. You're in the malarkey butt.
What's the I don't understand here.
You're in the malarkey butt. We're back to the start.
Spell urine
what does it
for
mean?
us.
URINE.
You?
The?
Okay. Spell the.
THE.
Okay, thank you. Malarkey. Spell malarkey. Start. Just start.
Just start it.
Perfect.
Good enough.
Okay, good. Stop. Enough said. Okay, spell butt.
BUTT.
Yes. Okay, so give us the first letters of each of those words.
U R.
No, it's urine, the malarkey butt.
See, that's how I got it, tricked him, because urine, because you would say urine as one word, or
UTMB.
urine.
UTMB. That's what we're going with. Now you got Becky's.
Because Art sent a message. Well, we're messaging, and then I think it was you, Art, that said,
Yes.
UTMB, what does it stand for? And so, of course, I had to be a child and come up with something. And that's what I came up with. And Scotty couldn't figure it out. Just very excited. But so I was reading, some stuff about it. And of course, because I live under a rock or something, I think I'd known, and maybe I'd forgotten that UTMB kind of joined forces with Ironman. And so honestly, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, they jumped the shark. Because I'm like, I used to do a triathlon. I loved all of that. And so, of course, I think my view ended up probably being skewed, because I know from my experience with Ironman and with triathlon in general, just seeing kind of what transpired with that and being like, oh no, is this what's happening here? Where with triathlon, it was, Ironman was like a big thing. They had several of them, and then they started having a couple halves, and it was like, it was the big deal, but it was like the big deal, for me, it was, I've only done 2 of them. So, but they were expensive. They're hard to get into. It's a lot of training. So it was like a, big deal to do it. But then I loved all the other races. And as it got more and more expensive, they kind of started having more races, which was, it's fine. But then all of these other races that were not Ironman sanctioned events that were really popular that people liked, Ironman kind of came in and bought them out, or, had another race on the same weekend, or just kind of or bought them out and then got rid of the race or turned the race into a different one. And then all of a sudden this race that, you may have always done that cost you $150 now, Ironman took it over. And so now it's this kind of an event and it's $750. And you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Where it was kind of like that Walmart kind of coming in and
I was thinking about that as you were saying that. But
and I think that's the part that I get frustrated with, is when you, and like you said, who knows? Because we don't know all the different stories, but I think it's part of it is such a, just how business to a certain degree works, where you just kind of come in and you kind of push the littler one out, I think is where I'm like, don't do that. Like have your thing, which is great. Like let's have a bunch of things, but don't.
Because I mean, the Iron Man, they're charging a lot of money, and they're like the quality isn't as good, and the price is more, and the corporate whatever. Walmart, I get cheap good stuff, right? I mean, you're at the Chico's Mini Mart paying $4.99 for Golden Grams. I'm at Walmart getting them for $2.
True. So that's not a very good analogy.
You can whine about what I mean, and I bet you Chico isn't giving his guy, union wages and health insurance. I mean, like, but I'm getting a good TV.
Right, you're getting the good, but
so
what's crazy though is like when you think of, and I won't mention the name of the company, but there's a fairly local-ish running organization that I won't do races for them because their prices are really high. They monopolize everything. And then they'll say, we're doing this event for, for leukemia, we're doing it for MS. And they're giving us like, a dollar per, $200 registration or whatever. They're given next to nothing. The races are ridiculously expensive. They're not giving anything really back to anybody. And I'm like, why am I, and these people are getting paid $1 gazillion, not a gazillion, but like, I'd rather just do a race where maybe the person gets paid or maybe that whatever, but that, like Ben Double N races where, you walk away from this small, tiny race and they're like, oh, we just gave away $9,000 from, a race that had 100 people in it that paid, $60 an entry, but everybody gave extra money and everybody where you just like pooled stuff in. Like, so I think you got to have both, but I think what is stinky is when those races, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case here, but like when those kind of smaller races get pushed out for the bigger races, like, so I think that's my thing is like when you're pushing out other races to kind of make room just for your thing, then it's just sucky.
That's true. And I think that's part of the, there's two things. One is just because they're big doesn't mean that they're bad. Okay. And that in theory, they could be producing something that is more hyped up, like a Tour de France atmosphere for runners. Okay. Which maybe it's not my thing, but hey, you know what? That might be pretty cool to run up a mountain pass lined with smoke bombs and people like, 10 deep on the side. Okay. For some people and to do all that, people banging on the banners as you go through and the whole thing like that. But but they also represent in a lot of cases that they have the highest quality races and that their product is a branded product, and that you're paying a lot more for those races typically, and you're not getting the belt buckle, the bucket hat, the shirt, the finisher shirt, the
starter
the
shirt,
experience and the hug
halfway
from the
through the
RD
shirt
at the finish line that you get at Badger,
But let me ask you this: is this UTMB race more like the kind of race that all of the running media, podcasts, famous runners, social media, more like the things that you see on that, or are you seeing more of that like the Badger? Because if you ask me, when UTMB is on, everybody's like licking their computer monitors about how awesome the coverage is, great, and Walmsley's there, and they got holes everywhere, and it's like, but that seems to be what the people want, but they just don't want it over there.
Acknowledge it, or
it is. I think as a spectator, that's more. For some reason, it's more appealing to watch that than to watch, an empty finish line where somebody comes wandering through and they wake up the race director, or they, somebody taps on my window at the Cut 112 and says, Art, somebody's coming. You better wake up. And I'm like, you
guys in your bathrobes hanging out with me at the picnic table talking about life at the finish line. But I mean, if that's not what you want, then don't come.
Correct. So
I don't-
But
here's
that's
the
what
other.
I think those are great races. And what I'm saying is that where I want to be able to, where I worry is that I won't be able to do the Badger because UTMB decided that they're going to do their their US Wisconsin version of blah 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 race, and we're going to happen to do it a week before, and we can't get, you know what I mean, like where all of a sudden
Yes.
now your race is getting pushed out
Yes.
because this big race is coming that I kind of have to do if I also want to do this other race, because I need 5 stones, a quarter, a nickel, and an old eraser to be able to get in.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the issue. Like with I mean, and I'm not ragging on Western states, but that's the other issue is that so then that UTMB race is going to be a Western States qualifier, and it's going to be a UTMB qualifier. Even though we hate UTMB now, but we're going to do that race, because then we can get to do but that's all fine because you guys are going to be out there saying, I did the Badger and I got the buckle and the bucket hat and the blah, 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 and the blah, 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 and those are the people that are going to come. And if you want to get stones and I don't want people to come do like we were talking about this on Slack. I don't want you to do the Badger to get your Western States qualifier. I want you to do the Badger because that's a pretty trail and it's a pretty culture and we can all, be friends and change the world together. That's why,
Yes.
But that's what I love. And that's where I'm in agreement in that. And I think my fear, maybe it's an unnecessary fear, is that I wouldn't want what you have to be lost because of these bigger, places that kind of come in and push you out. Like that's where I would say, don't put Scotty in the corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
If he wants to do it, then it's not like I'm going to stand out there in my velour tracksuit hugging people, saying, well, we got to keep this thing alive. I mean, if people don't want it, then we won't have it, but people want it. And there's no evidence.
Right. But do you worry though
that
I guess my thing is, do you worry that another, like a corporation type thing will come in and try and sell you out? Like just to try and buy out Chenjung Miles, like to try and buy out, you know what I mean?
I'm listening. I mean,
You had me at buy.
not. I am speaking for him, and no, he's not.
I think
that's my thing.
People want small, close knit races. People will put on these races, and I think that it's the same problem of, it's like your Walmart problem. Walmart's going to be there and Walmart's going to thrive. And maybe some of these little races aren't going to make it. And some of these races, they're not put on very well. And they're not put on by serious people that are trying hard to do a good job. And some of the, like when the pandemic washed out a bunch of races because they didn't have the kind of finances to survive in off season, or restaurants or bars even. And I know this is going to sound heartless and I'll get hate mail for it, but if you're running a business and you can't survive a 6-month period like that, maybe you're not doing it right.
Right. Yeah.
Like the Badger, we don't have a credit card with 40 grand in debt on it. Like we're not.
Oh, whoops. Sorry. You might know.
We're trying to be fiscally responsive and survive.
Yeah.
So
I want to just mention something. So my wife did a try called Peasant Man.
That's the kind of thing I'm thinking of.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly
So Peasant Man is in the Finger Lakes. And there's they don't do an Ironman. They do a steel distance is what they call it. So what they did was they took the swim. And how far is the swim in an Ironman typically?
2.4.
Okay. So they made theirs like 2.6. And how far is the bike in an Ironman?
114. 112.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Don't blame me for that though, okay?
I know.
You can't pin that on me. So they make their bike a little bit longer, and then they make I think they make the marathon a little bit longer, and they charge less than Ironman does. And it's a personal experience there. When we did that, it's like a boutique hotel. Instead of going to the Best Western, you're going to somebody's real hotel, where there's a connection with the hotel and the whole thing. And they did that, and this was the first time that I had ever really heard the bad mouthing of Ironman, is that as my wife was out doing this, I got to hang out with the race director a little bit. And he told me stories of like 3 or 4 tries that were in the area there where Ironman came out to them and said, hey, we want to make you an offer. And your
it's
try
money
has some
you-
broken windows here, so we
Yeah.
want to make you should really fix this place up. So they made them an offer, a lowball offer, and they said, no, I'm sorry, we're not interested. Then what they did was that they came in and they opened up an event that was like 2 weeks before theirs or something like that, just so that right in the area, and kind of took over, kind of basically took a spot there. Now, yes, they have to have the relationships. And Scotty, I know that I would doubt that somebody would be able to walk into the towns in Wisconsin that you've built the relationship with, but it can happen. And so what they did was that they drew down their attendance. They pulled out some percentage, and they did that for like a year or two. And then this race just wasn't able to really survive then. Then Ironman came back in and bought up that race and then closed it. And then put on they put on an inferior race and then closed it. Same thing happened at Quasi,
Timmerman.
right? Quasi. They
Quasi.
started the race and they all of a sudden had like just a fucking fiasco from what I heard. Like people like they all of a sudden like hit the starting whistle and like everybody had to like jump in the water like on top of each other, or it was some kind of crazy start. And somebody can give me the facts on that, but some shit happened. And what was always thought of as a great race is no longer there. And now they've also kind of ruined, they've kind of poisoned the well for others, because, hey, we don't want to have an event of this size because it's crazy, because there's no communication and the town gets hijacked by this other organization. And it's hard to come in after that and say, yeah, oh, we're not like the biggest organization out there, So I don't know. I heard from them, about several races that got bought up and closed, and where they basically poisoned the well. Now, I went to Vegas last summer, and my wife and I did the the Rock and Roll 5K. That was part of their marathon, which they closed the marathon or something like that because it was not profitable. They billed it as something like, oh yeah, you're going to run on the strip at night, and they ran us around like a back streets, like well off the strip,
24-hour buffet.
Oh my God, it was
So
all the
Gelato.
stuff. It was $136, and it was a dumbass thing for me to join, and I kind of knew it going in, but
But the history of the Vegas Marathon, it's interesting because Las Vegas had a really cool marathon back in the day when I started marathoning. They drove you on a bus out to a town called Jean, and then you ran back on a road, like a frontage road. It was kind of downhill. You never got anywhere near the strip. You never got anywhere near the city. And then you had a big party at the Tropicana afterwards, and it was a cool event. This rock and roll marathon, I DNF'd. That was my first marathon DNF in my life. And this was right in the beginning of the 10 Junk Miles lore that we went. Me and my buddy Aaron, who's like a 250 marathoner, and then our friend never run a marathon. And it was the strip at night. It was what you advertised. And we stopped for tacos, and I didn't realize they were going to like cook them from scratch rather than like just like Chipotle.
Yeah.
So we're waiting, and like people are running by us, and they're making these tacos, and then they started drinking those clamatos, the Gelato, the big cans with so they're drinking, it's like clam juice and juice and beer, and they got a little drunk. And then what ended up happening is at mile 17, they just kind of routed us, or like mile 15, they routed us to mile 17. They said, you didn't make the mile 15 cutoff, but we did. And I got a refund because they were wrong. We would have not made the whole cutoff. But anyway, so they're all drunk, and then we got rerouted, and we got to and I was outraged, and Sean Astin was there. Everybody was drunk. It was this crazy fiasco. But the moral of the story was that the half marathon might be the coolest half marathon that exists, because you indeed run from the strip to Old Vegas, back to the Strip, and you finish. The marathon, you run the Strip to Old Vegas, and then you just do a fucking terrible 7-mile out and back in the middle of the city at night that like nobody wants to be at. And that's I think why they canceled that marathon. It's like they just like did oh well, we got to make it 26. Let's just have them run out and back to these. It's just terrible.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I feel like as you were talking about the rock and roll thing, I remember I ran in the very first rock and roll. It was the Suzuki Rock and Roll San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon in 1998, 97, 98. And so it was like the very first one. And it was it was the first marathon I had ever done. So I didn't have anything else to compare it to. So anything was going to be cool. And it was my first time in California. But I mean, it was such this crazy cool idea where there's bands every mile. And it was the at that time, it was the biggest first year marathon ever. Like, it's, at the inaugural race, and there's 20 something or 30 something thousand people in it. And it was really cool. And it was one of those things that everybody really liked. And then, you next year you add another one, and then you add another one. And then it becomes where it's like the rock and roll, 1 miler, the rock and roll, swim, the rock, like, and it just goes like overkill and it's just dumb. And and then you lose interest.
And they lost interest.
Yeah, because it gets it's
the counterfactual.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Like, remember North Face San Francisco, North Face Washington, North Face Wisconsin, gone. North Face was an evil company that was taking over ultra running, right? They're gone.
Yeah. And they did. Now, who was the company? Because Kim took on a race in. She had a race going on in Bear Mountain, and had a similar thing. Kim Levinsky.
I was just going to ask if that's who you're talking about.
Had something going on there where I thought that was North Face that came in and
Wasn't
maybe I got that.
Spartan races, like
Spartan. You might
Scott
be.
Jurek and Luis, the photographer, Road Dog podcast, Luis Escobar.
Yeah.
And Charlie Engel, the three of them, they were going to, and then there was a whole bunch of alarmism on the internet that Spartan's going to take over. They're going to start charging them. It's terrible.
Because they were going to charge the spectators.
Yes.
I think that's what it was.
It just ends up, I think, my kind of takeaway is I think it stinks when the result is that you're either pushing out other people or other races, or you're making it so difficult to do something where there's all these like little add-ons to it, kind of like, like the qualifying for this race, because you need to now do this one and this one and this one, and where it's like, honestly, I think that's, for me, that's, because I mean, just even going back to like the Ironman thing, that was something where I still feel like, and I've only done 2 of them, which is a lot less than ultras, but Ironman, I think completing an ultra is harder, but I think training for an Ironman is harder than training for an ultra for me. And I always would say, like, if I'm going to train that hard for something like that, like, even though, as I just was like, oh, Ironman, they're like evil, whatever. I was always like, if I'm going to train that hard for an Ironman, I'm going to spend the money, and I'm going to deal with all the hoopla to go and do an Ironman sanctioned event. Like, I'm not going to spend all that time and all that, whatever, to go and do this thing where, maybe there's somebody out in the water helping to make sure that I don't drown. Maybe there's not. I don't know. That, to me, it's like, then it ends up being worth it for that. But I don't know but that's different. I mean, ultras are, I think it's a little bit different, where I don't feel like I need all of that pampering in an ultra that I do in an Ironman.
I think
not that there's anything really to compare it.
I think my other question would be, what would the hoopla be if it was, if they were taking over the Badger, or if they were taking over one of Sherpa John's races, or
Mm.
somebody who's a smaller time, not celebrity in the running world. I mean, to what extent does that play into this as well? Because I don't know the facts, and I don't know that Outside Magazine article, but that Outside Magazine article kind of made it sound like they made it hard on the guy. He stopped doing the race. He said the race is canceled. And then, whoa, a year later, somebody else comes in and they're doing the same race. Not like you're describing, that they said, just so you know, we're doing the Ultra Trail Mount Wisconsin, and it's going to be the first weekend of August. And then I'm like, well, I can't compete with that. And then I, go out of business. It seemed like it wasn't that story,
Yeah. I think, honestly, anything that, I think Outside is like, so here's like a scoop for people who didn't know. Like, okay, so it's all like, you have to picture your wall right now, and you put up pictures of UTMB, Western States, Ironman, and then Ultra Running Magazine, or maybe not Ultra Running Magazine. I won't put, or I don't even know. They're probably bought by Outdoors. I don't know if Outdoor Magazine owns them, but Outdoor. And then behind it all is Canadian Trail Fishing Magazine. They're like up at the top. Okay. So, but all these fuckers, they're all connected. So, I picture just two anorexic fat lumberjacks. I don't know what they are, but like the Outdoor Magazine and the Iron Man guy says, hey, hey dude, you got to help me here. Right. And so they know, the Outdoor Magazine knows that they're coming for him. They're, if Big is out and Big is bad, then, I think they're the ones who said that all trail runners are parasites. So,
well, they're just as big. So,
yeah. So I don't know how much I trust that. And I understand they made that all sound very reasonable and logical and, corporate bullshit. And it might be right. Okay. That's the other thing. I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I don't know whether, I mean, we all love Gary Robbins. Were they responsible, or did they just fuck it up? Maybe they shit the bed as they were supposed to do.
Well, and Western States is a UTMB World Series event.
Yeah, but nobody's mentioned that. Scott,
UTMB's bad.
Scotty, don't say that. Don't say. You can't mention.
They're not in bed together. They're kind of adjacent.
You're already on fucking Western States probation for that shit 2 years ago about the announcements, like the play-by-play, right? I mean,
right. I mean, it's the sacred. And I think that I would have a delightful conversation with Craig Thornley, because I think that everything I'm saying is, I mean, again, you can say that something is a bad system because it's not accessible to people without saying you're a bad actor. I'm not saying that they're evil people. I'm just saying it's an unfortunate situation. But to say that we got to save this one, and we can't sell out to big running, but it's really awesome that now the Cocodona 500 is going to have drones and streaming and commercials and commentary and YouTube and it's like, well, and I love Jamil. Jamil's a great guy, and I want Jamil to get bigger. But it's okay if Jamil becomes big running. It's not okay if that guy becomes big.
He's not douchey Iron Man.
Yeah, he's not one of us.
Yeah.
So
it is funny, because then even like Candace jumps in and says, here for the small guy. And you know what, I followed her from forever. Like when she was like a lone wolf out, doing a little blog, running in from her Jeep, and all that. So,
and now she's big.
But, yeah. I mean, but like, so I don't know. I don't think that there's anything wrong really with any of it, except that there is a social contract, and it was just like on their part, to think that they could do that if that's what happened, or that even the thought that could be perceived to have occurred is just an error. They need to know, like I went to the trail running table at the expo in Vegas. Okay. And, we were talking, I was saying, okay, hey, Grindstone and, all the desert rats, or, all these Western races that I don't really know that much about, canyons and all that stuff are all under that same umbrella,
Speed Goat.
Yeah. Speed Goat. Yeah. All those races. And I just said to him, I said, wow, what kind of cookies or moose poop.
That's how you lose a filling right there. Like you can't
Becky's chowing down on some Halloween
I
candy.
took them for my boys because they have braces, and I said you can't eat these. So naturally I took them because milk duds are good.
Crack a tooth and winds up at the dentist right there.
Yes. So at any rate, the thought is that like these guys, they know that they have to, I said, and I talked to the people there, and you go to the table where UTMB, Ironman, trail running people are, and you expect to see like aliens, and they're like normal people. They're like cool. They were really nice and everything like that. And they're spinning a wheel to get you free entry into something or whatever. But, so I'm sure that they're nice people working for them. But like at the end of the day, they got to understand that there is an issue with optics and that they got to be very careful on that. So, for better or worse, they've kind of, they kind of broke the little social contract here. Like, I don't know how they're supposed to act, and I don't know what they do.
So then
what would you do?
What about one of the other things that he talked about was being that UTMB, it's such a huge platform that they should be doing more for, running equality and for all these different areas of, making sure that there are groups for everyone, and that they weren't really addressing those things. And that being that they have such a big platform, that they should be using that platform to vocalize things. Like, what is your thought on that, Scotty?
I don't understand the question.
Like, I got a milk dud stuck in my throat.
So Becky, are you asking
Becky chokes during the podcast.
What is UTMB doing to make running more accessible, given that their power of authority?
That is the thought of
accessible to what?
Accessible like financially to people, like, so people talk about
UTMB is not accessible. You got to fucking fly to France and stay in Europe.
No, it's not. Like, it's not. Like,
nobody can do that. Only rich white people. Like it's rich white people. Come on.
So to get any decent stones here, canyons, you would have one of the races. Really, the North America race that you run would be canyons. Is a major in the World Series. It's one of their major races. And that is $425 for the 100-miler.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and then it's in California,
right?
I believe, right? Yeah, it's at Western States. It's at Auburn. So
accessible.
Yes. So especially if you're fucking living, like, let's say you're up in the Gator country, right? You're living up in Maine, okay? And now all of a sudden you gotta, go to Portland and, fly all the way to
friggin' Portland.
Yeah, right.
I don't think there's a lot of poor people in Portland that are longing to get into the UTMB, and they unfortunately can't afford
I live
to
in
get
Portland,
to California.
Becky lives in Portland, Connecticut. So
I live in Portland, Connecticut. So whenever I say Portland, and people are like, "Oh, you live in Portland?" and I'm like, "No." They're like, "You don't live in Portland, Maine?" I'm like, "Nope." "Oh, Portland, Oregon?" "Nope." "What other Portland is there?" "Portland, Connecticut." Come on. Duh. Sorry.
So yeah. So I mean, so right there, yeah. That's I don't know. And listen, the world is just full of like, yeah. Why can't everybody go and stay at the Hilton, or why can't everybody drive this car or do that? But like, I don't know. I think that maybe I'm being naive, but I think that running should be accessible.
It is
to people.
It is. That's the problem. It is. The problem is that the running media and the podcasters and the douchebags are telling you that you're not a real runner unless you do Western States or UTMB or Badwater. Running's accessible.
So you're like feeding into the very thing that you're complaining about.
Right outside
not you,
your house, there's a trail. All you need is a pair of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we've told people that you got to get we're not talking about that. Podcasts aren't talking about that. We're not live streaming Becky's trail behind her house. We're live streaming the Badwater and the Cocodona and all these things that cost a lot of money and only really rich, well-off people can do.
Because there's no money in Becky's trail.
Right.
Oh, there's money.
There's money, all right.
But I think that that's another thing that we need to start doing. We want to make trail running accessible. Start telling people of ways that you can trail run in your own community, because there's lots.
Like the Hop and
Yeah.
Hodges 50K,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
We got the
pretty.
John Dick 50K in Wisconsin. It's like $20 to run in the snow up in Wisconsin. You know?
Well, you know what what I always think of for a race, and it's just funny because it doesn't parallel it all that much, but this is probably like 10 years ago. There was in Rhode Island in Narragansett, they had a race, and it was I don't know what it was called, but it was, I think, the weekend, either a couple of days before Boston or the week before Boston or something, and it was a race that you had to qualify for, and it was beautiful. It was in Narragansett. It was a great course, and the times were actually like a little bit harder than getting into Boston, and it was like this big, like, and while they didn't get a huge field, they got it was really cool because you got like people that weren't, like, obviously they weren't pros or semi-professionals, but you get a couple hundred people on the line, and they're all running for their age group really good times, and it was just like neat and fun, and another thing to do besides that, and everybody loved it. Like, we all loved it, and you wanted to do it, and yet it was like that. It was one of those things that at first, like, oh, this is really going to catch on, and this is going to be like the next big thing. But what happened is it eventually died down because they put it so close to Boston that you really couldn't. I mean, I guess you could do both of them, but wouldn't be easy to do them. And even though everybody loved that idea, it was still like, when you go into work and you're like, I did Gansett this weekend, or, oh, I did Boston. Like, people are more like, oh, you did Boston, and not, oh, I did Gansett. It was harder to get into. It was a prettier course. It was, this and that. And then it ended up going out. So I think it is kind of like that thing that I complain about these events, but yet, just like I said with Ironman, that here I am going, but then in the next breath, I'm saying, but if I'm going to do another iron distance event, I'm going to do an Ironman. So it's like, like, I'm kind of talking out of both ends.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's just the nature of the sport,
Yeah.
I think
But
that what can we
like
do
you're
to
saying,
make the sport more accessible? We can talk about things that aren't Western States and UTMB and talk about them with the same kind of passion. Or, like another thing, Art, as a race director, here's something that I do. When we get close to race day, I go in my local, like the Flatlander group or something, and I'll say, hey, I have a few extra spots. Anybody poor? Anybody wish they could do a race but can't afford it? Send me a message. I'll give you a free spot. Get some people into the race that maybe normally couldn't afford it, stuff like that. But I mean, but I think the other thing is the most important. That's, and I think that you raise a really good point, Becky. And I think that we have to say, if you're my friend, like if next year I see Art at the UTMB, it can't be, fuck that guy selling out to the man, giving his money. Like, if that's what you want to do, go and do it. But,
right.
And if you want to do a small fat ass race, go do that too. But let's get away from all corporations are bad and all small races are good. Let's get away from all for-profit races are great or are bad and all non-for-profit races are great. Let's try and get a little bit more, even keel about this and understand that the sport is more than doing those big races or famous runners or famous race directors and stuff like that. I think that's the key.
I like it.
Yeah. Because it is, I think, what I have to say, I've always felt that way. Like, even
sure,
just hearing,
you didn't just jump on the bandwagon, the Scotty Becky bandwagon. Come on, listen.
Okay,
there's a back seat. Get in the back.
I did.
Well, I think there's a progression too. I think that you come to the sport, then you fall in love with the sport, you become obsessed with the sport. You subscribe to Ultra Running Magazine, you watch Western States every year. You who's going to win UTMB? Is it Courtney? Is it coming? And then eventually you kind of taper off into this. Like I had a podcast. I had Steve Tersey and a couple other people, and we talked about Western States, and they were all like, I don't give a shit about Western States. I don't even follow it. You reach a point where you're just like, that's not for me. That's for people who want to make their whole life doing those races,
Here's how I fall into that, is that I'm neither of those two. I have no real, I mean, would I run Western States? Yeah, I suppose I would. Have I ever applied? No. Do I like to keep tabs on it? Yeah, I do. Just because I've always been a fan. I'm a fan of like a high school race. I'm a fan of 2 8th graders running. It doesn't matter. Like whatever that is, I like sporting events and I like to watch. I'm a fan of track and field. I like to watch a race. I like to see somebody. I like to see the miracle of ultra running. And usually that's expressed through my friends. You know, I see one of my friends who doesn't know their own fucking name and they're just like walk in and they want to sit in my car and I'm fucking lying to them and getting them to just go that one extra little bit of time, you know, just to keep going a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, like within like 5 minutes, they're all of a sudden busting out like 10-minute miles, you know, or something like that.
Or maybe not. Or maybe not.
Or maybe not, you know.
Ultra
maybe
running
crying in
is
the
also, but Art showing up at mile 30 and me saying to Art, you know what, fuck this, let's go to the bar, let's go get a pizza, I mean, I got nothing to prove, you don't want to sit out here in the rain, and then we go and we have a nice day together. That's ultra running too.
It is. Yeah, it is. And there's, you know, but it is fun from a spectator standpoint. That's not so fun to watch. I mean, from an experiential part, there's like, somebody said this, there's no better joy than saying no to something because it's like instant endorphins. It's just like, oh, fuck that. No, I'm not doing that. And then you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Fuck you. I won't do what you told
watching
me.
April 15th go right by.
That's right. Yeah.
An extension.
That means nothing.
I feel just as good as getting it done on time.
Don't listen, Mr. Taxman. I'm going to take your return. I'm going to throw it on the ground.
Sending that email to the accountant. Get the extension. Send.
That's right.
I got till October now.
Yeah.
So
it ain't raining now. Why fix the roof?
kind of on those lines that you were saying, Art, about like just kind of being at the event and liking it. It's kind of remind me of an experience that I had where this weekend was so my boy's running and this weekend was the state championships and
yes,
so they ran in the second race of the day and it was just like this kind of like joke where it's like, all right, they were in the second race of the day, there's 12 races, but I'm going to be there the whole time because I love watching this stuff and I'm going to be like running from point to point to point to point and cheering and being a psychopath because I just love it so much. And that was like one of those things that I think with seeing young runners where it was like an important thing for me to think, okay, this is like our future, like these are our future or some of them are our ultra marathoners now, but like these are our future people that are going to be doing these events like we do and stuff and kind of like trying to like lead the way of getting them excited and just, you know, cheering for all the different people and getting so excited about like their journey. And I think that that's a really neat thing to be able to showcase to others that it's not just about like your event and your race and everything. And I don't know what I'm trying to get at with it, but it's one of those things that like this weekend, I was so taken back, as I told Art, I won't say all of it, but that you have other people that like get into these things and I'm running around and I'm cheering for all these different kids. And I just want everybody to do well. Like, of course I want my kids to do really well and I, you know, whatever. But if there's another kid running right next to him and they're both running hard and stuff, like I just I want you to both do awesome and stuff. And, you know, you see other parents and other coaches and other spectators that just, you're like, you are an adult, you should know better. That just gets so competitive and where you're just like, here's your runner, I'm going to cheer for him, you know, cheer for mine. And they're just like, I just cheer for everybody. Good job. And just being all like douchey. And you're like, how are you being douchey? They're a bunch of 15-year-olds. Like, how, why are you doing this? Like, you know, where you just want to be like, yeah. Like, I don't know. It just kind of brought on when you were saying about, you know, just loving to be out there. And maybe that's part of the differences. running is so much more than the competition of it. Like there's just so much joy in it. And like when you just see like the different kids running and their different abilities and just this just like melting pot of individuals that are together and just getting so excited for them. Like there have been kids that I've cheered for where, you know, one of my boys is blowing past the kid and the kid just kind of like puts his head down and just pumps his arms. And of course I don't want that kid to beat my kid, but part of me is like, wow, good for you. Like you just went into like a next gear. And I know that's hard. Like, yay, good for you. I mean, don't beat my son because I don't want you to, but you're just so excited for him. And it's like, it's always so hard for me to temper my enthusiasm for like all of them, because it's just like a wonderful, I think a wonderful gift that we get to have and get to acknowledge and to share.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just went on rambling.
I think that's across the whole community though, right? Like cheering and crewing and pacing and being there. And like, that's part of the magic of ultra running or any running, right? Is to help or see your friends, family, whatever, reach their goals. Like sometimes I find more joy.
Keeps us into it. Versus the people that were these, not them saying we all weren't, but that were just these phenomenal runners and now they don't run anymore, or they were maybe phenomenal runners, but they don't run anymore because their joy came from, I ran this race. I, qualified. I did this time. I did that time. I met this person and that stuff gets old after a while. Like it's not there. There's just not.
Yeah. There's no joy in that. That lasts you're lucky if that lasts 3 days, right?
Like
after
just,
a race.
Yeah, like it's just not. It's and that's like where I love that too. Like I'll get so excited if I know that some person that I don't even know very well, but it's a parent of a kid that went to my boys' school eons ago is doing a 5K. Like I get so excited about it. I'm like, oh my God, let's go. And like I'm just so excited and happy for him. Like, and then they finish and I'm like, you did it, And it's like, why are you so excited? I'm like, because I don't know.
Well, it's like, I think, kind of what Celeste was talking about, being of service to others. It's like, that's where the joy is, right? What we do for ourselves is like, it feels good, but it's like, that's great. Okay. But like helping other people and that service, that's really where you get to appreciate, I don't know, helping others get there is kind of what is lasting.
Like for me, I've finished some epic races and I've done a lot of things in my running life, but none of that compares to the feeling I get. Like, for example, like I think it was like 6 months ago or something, my law partner's kid came home from school and said she wore the Badger shirt because she helped out at the race. Mm-hmm. Some teacher saw the shirt and said, how do you know about that? And then she said, whatever, she knew me or whatever. And they said, well, that's the reason I'm a runner. If it weren't for that,
wow.
Or like when someone says, like at the finish line of the Badger, they cry and they're just like, you told me I could do this on the podcast. I wouldn't have tried this if it was, like you think of those things. And I think we talked about this a little bit at the finish line too. And it's not that person. It's that person's kid that we don't even see, that's watching their mom do this thing that now they think that they can do, that their girlfriend might take up running with them, and they may grow up runners and have kids that are runners who have kids that are, like it's the trickle down effect of that impact. You get that from working at aid stations or from crewing people or working the finish line or being a part of a, something that people participate in. And that's, to me, that's the ultimate thing about running, and again, that's not the guy that won Western States, but that person that laced up, they saw Fred running around the block and there's some guy looking out his window going, look at that fucking old guy running.
Every day.
And then he puts on his shoes and he goes and runs. And maybe he doesn't have a heart attack and he loses a little weight. He keeps his marriage together and his grandkids see him grow old and run, and maybe they're inspired. And you know what, Grandpa, let's run a 5K together. And like that effect.
Yeah.
Fred has no idea that any of that happened. That's
Right.
what it's all
Yeah,
about.
that's really cool.
You know?
That's
Like-
And the instant acceptance into the community, right? One of the things that I thoroughly enjoy, because I've never done like epic, right? I've never been fast, which is fine with me. But like instantaneous acceptance into the community, like we're just part of it. And we all want to see each other succeed, whatever that success is by definition for you or for me. And we're all different, and that's fine. But that kind of community part of it is it's kind of a miracle to be a part of and to watch it.
Well, and as a guy that's put on races for thousands of people and met thousands and thousands of people that listen to the podcast, I can tell you with certainty that there is no one too weird, too fucked up, too slow. There's nobody that's not accepted into this community, because I meet people all the time and I'm just like, geez, I can't believe this, these people even exist. But everybody loves everybody. It's like you show up and you're like, well, if you're listening to this, you're the kind of person that you think no one wants to be your friend, ultra running is your place.
My husband says that to me all the time.
100%.
You're a perfect
Yeah.
fit.
They will love you
always
until you learn to
like-
love yourself.
It's kind of like a giant like cat petting convention, right? Where like
I like
the cat looks
That
at
could've-
you and is like, oh, pet me. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I want to pet that cat. And then you pet the cat and then the cat's happy. And then you're like, oh, I made that cat happy. No, Beck.
I always say the
Is that like
three
along the
weirdest-
basic liquor thing, Beck? Is that where we're going with this? It's like, we're just like, it's too easy.
If you see a group of weird people that don't belong together, they're probably a jury, an AA meeting, or ultra runners. Like those are the
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
That-
what do those
yes.
people have in common?
that is true.
One
So-
last thing that I want to say, just in regards to just different people and stuff, is that and it's a little shout out, is that I saw Jack Smith this weekend because her daughter ran in the state meet,
Mhm.
and this just kept reminding me of her, because I remember hearing her story about her daughter and her daughter getting into running because of Jack and just going out for the run and getting that feeling of like, oh, this is like so, rewarding, and the friendships and the just feeling like more powerful and just all those different neat benefits, and how Jackie like really without knowing just like inspired her daughter, and the daughter listens to the podcast, and
Oh God.
was
Oh boy.
so I had kind of met her before, but I met her over the weekend, like more officially. But it was so funny because I felt like I'd known her, even though I've not really, and I was running around the course and I was so excited to cheer for her that I blanked on her name. So I was screaming and you know how loud I can be, screaming all over the course, go Jack Smith's daughter. And then I was screaming, go Lil Jack And she was so funny. She's going up the hill, she's struggling. And then I'm like, come on, go little Jack And she was like looking like, who the heck? And it was just like this nice thing. She, knew who I was, and I knew who she was then. And just to have that sort of connection, and with someone that at that age is like falling in love with the sport for the right reasons, I think is really cool, and a real neat gift that her mom gave her without even, knowing.
And congratulations to her on the race. I want to just real quick give a couple other little shout outs before I'm thinking of it. So I heard that one of our Patreons we're going to have to rename Andy Tide.
He didn't tie.
Andy Tide didn't
he did
tie
not.
this time. He actually won. So the
Whole kit and
Womper,
caboodle.
Yeah, he did.
And hello, Clarice.
And Clarice won too. Yeah.
He won as well. So congratulations to both
Go
of them.
Clarice.
Womp romp winners.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Powered
And
by
it's not a
Pop-Tarts.
want thing. It's
That's right.
Andy Tidd's one of my guys too, so I get pushed.
Okay. He's one of our
Ooh,
guys,
nice.
right? The
Oh,
collective
Yeah.
here. So
Junk guy too.
Yeah. So
Arizona.
yeah, definitely congratulations to him and to Mr. Hoadley as well. So
I also wanted to do a shout out just for people that listen to the show. I got some good things coming down the pipe.
Ooh.
yeah, what's
Long
up?
runs. I got long runs coming now that I'm in the off season. The first one I'm recording Saturday night. Greg Salvesen, who's a 2-time finisher of the Infinitus. Why
wow.
anyone would even do that twice, I don't know.
Mm.
But he's a 6-day runner, a hard rocker. He's done everything in the world that you could think of. And he's an astronomy professor.
Oh my
That just
God.
makes it so much more cool.
Oh,
That's
Like
cool.
when you do all
him
that
coming
crazy
up-
stuff.
hold it, just a second.
and
That's
that-
like that's like beating one of the state's best runners by an hour in your first 50K, coming from Sweden and being a nuclear engineer. That's what we interviewed last week.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah,
I
that
love
was
people
so
like
crazy.
Yeah,
He's an interesting dude. I got Ashley Ringo Walsh, who's a Southeast runner.
Is that Ash Wall?
Ash Walsh, yeah.
Yeah, you hear her. She's pretty big on social media, right?
Been around for a while.
Yeah.
Jonathan Levitt from For the Long Run.
Oh, yeah.
Who's
Wow.
I assume he's Jewish, because
Mhm.
he and I have been talking a little bit on the Twitter about the things that are going on in Israel, and like that
Yep.
no one wants to talk about it. And, like just, so I think we're probably going to go deep into like just balls out right on that too. So should be interesting. And then after about 2.5 years of dancing, I think Sally McRae is going to come on in December. So
Very good.
she and I have some mutual background issues with abusive parents, and just got done reading her book. And I think that we're going to hit it off very famously, even though she's been so hesitant to come on.
I thought you had her on before. No?
Never had her on.
Oh my God.
She's the last person I hugged before Leadville. But keep in mind, she's kind of like a Billy Yanger, and Billy doesn't like me at all. So that I don't know how that pays into things, but
yeah. But she's so. I listened to her show, on occasion, and I just think, I mean, her message is such a is a very positive one that she puts out there. So I think I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys are going to talk about. I'd love to be a fly. I guess I'm going to get to be a fly.
You are going to be a fly.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, aren't
That's
we
how
all sort of-
podcasts work. Art.
It is, right? I can even listen to it, right?
because I'm tentatively calling it quits. Like I've called the March 2025. So I'm going to go 10 years and out. 10 and out.
I thought I heard you say that with Ryan Pluckelman. I haven't. I don't know if I got through. I guess I got through most of the episode. Like, because I did. I listened. I couldn't remember whether I heard the end of it, but yeah, thought I heard you say that.
I might do other podcasts. I might do I have some other projects. I have a Frank Lloyd Wright project that I wanted to do forever.
Yeah.
And I've also thought about
cool
just
stuff.
rebranding and just interviewing whoever the fuck I want, like about just about their lives,
yes,
not like even like this astronomer guy. Like, we're going to talk about astronomy or his life, but I would love to just like dig deep into astronomy and what it's like. How do you become an astronomer?
Yeah. Hey, Scotty, don't take this. Take it for what it. Don't take this the wrong way, but I mean this absolutely sincerely. Is that like you have the ability to pull that off?
Oh yeah, I was like worried where he was going with this, Scotty. I got to tell you.
There's like you, because you really have your interviews are fucking great. I gotta say, and the ability, kind of like all you need like if you had a Jamie, I don't even know if you need a Jamie, but like because the facts aren't,
who's a Jamie?
Who gives a shit? But from Joe Rogan.
Oh,
just to be able to, he always has somebody just to whatever he's talking about. His sidekick just pulls it up like instantly.
So like how you have a Becky.
Pretty much, yeah.
Actually, no, it's like completely not like that.
Because
I literally.
Yes, I miss Jimmy, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
I know. I
just find myself oftentimes, like I have a friend who's a writer for the Rock Hall that, we'll get into like music discussions and things like that. And I just think, I want to talk about that, or I want to interview like musicians or actors, or whatever happened to people.
Well, you're so well-rounded, and you're so
Yeah.
curious. I think that's what makes it good. It's like, being like curious about others. Can I ask
Sincerely
you? And I
curious.
feel like what?
Like sincerely curious. Like I
No,
don't think,
really. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I should
Like,
have so and so on because people would really be into them. It's more like,
Yeah.
I would love to spend 2 hours talking to this lady that produced the Michael J. Fox movie about pop culture in the 80s.
Oh, fuck.
Like whatever,
Yeah.
You know what? One of my I think this was my favorite episode that you did. There's a couple that I really like, but one that I especially like was you interviewed Penn Teller's wife.
Emily Gillette, yeah.
Holy fuck, that was so good. It was
Yeah.
like
Cool, I want to listen to that.
it was, and he interviewed her about her first marathon, and
In
you
New
just
York.
got the joy of the accomplishment of what it's like to do that, and just oh my god, it was just
he's friends with Bob Dylan.
Oh,
Penn
All comes
is.
back to Bob.
of course.
No, Penn,
right?
he wrote the liner notes to one of the albums. But
Wow.
I'm playing the long game. So I
Okay.
mentioned him to her. And
And
I message
say-
her when I come to Vegas, let's go running, but never mention Penn.
So it'll be like, so Bob, what you been up to since I saw you last?
Well, I think like someday it's just gonna come out that I'm a fan of Penn, and then she's gonna be like, well, you should come over for dinner,
Yeah.
And I'm
She's like, oh my God, we're having pot roast
So-
tonight. Come on over.
I
You know
roast
what?
with Penn.
You know what podcast I want to do
Oh.
is I went to my 45th 8th grade class reunion.
I knew you were going to say it was that weird class. I've
Yeah.
never heard of somebody
So
having an
weird.
8th grade class reunion.
Yeah.
I love that you have that.
Yeah.
It was our second, and it was the second reunion that we had. And this time, just the weather was bad. But the time before, I got to talk to my my track coach from
Oh, yes,
6th
you
grade.
said.
Not a track coach, a cross country coach.
Oh,
He's alive, yes, because we were his. He was like 20 something. He was like
Okay.
20 or something. He was a
That's no
young
track,
teacher, and we I ran 1 year of cross country. I was shit on the team. And when I was 38 and wanted to go back to running, I considered myself a runner because of that 1 year, and was able to eventually reach out to him and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I just qualified for Boston Marathon,
That's very
And-
cool.
and it's because of
Yeah, it is.
because you made me think that was something that I could do. And I got to meet him again and said, fuck, I ran 100 miles, and then that like blows. That's like, they can't believe that shit.
But you got to
right?
go back
And
and tell these people that.
I did. So
I know. I mean, other people should do that too. They should follow your lead.
Yes. So what I want to do is, because we went all kindergarten through 8th grade in the same building. Okay. So there's 60 of us in the class. I want to interview everybody that's alive in that class, and as many teachers as I can. And by the time it's done, even if you didn't go to the school,
You feel like you knew everybody?
yeah, you would.
Like
And it would
Cheers,
be-
where everybody knows your name.
or it would be really boring and I would enjoy it. And the other people would in the class.
Yeah, but
too.
sometimes you just do it. Like this Frank Lloyd Wright project I have. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody's going to listen to it, but I think I feel like it's the kind of thing that like someone should do. And then if I found out someone did it, I'd be like, holy shit, like that's cool. I want to listen to that. You know?
And you know how you're going to structure it, or not so much, or
I want to do one podcast about each building that he built in chronological order.
oh, okay.
And just talk about like the project, who the commission was for, anything that's interesting,
Huh.
go to the building, what it's like. Is there like a Sundays store across the street? Like
Yeah.
the experience, everything that I can find about that building, and then just
Wow.
do one every week. There's 490 some, I think, total. So it would be a 10, 15 year thing. And, maybe nobody listens. Maybe, 100 buildings in, PBS picks it up and says, this is, amazing.
Bold.
Who knows? But I think it's interesting. I think the buildings are interesting. Just that, they're kind of like my records. Like sometimes I look at my records and I think this record it's not mine.
Mm.
It's just temporarily in my possession. And I think of all the people that listened to it before me,
Mm.
they're going to listen to it after me.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
all the memories that might be tied to this record that I don't even know about, And
That is
it's
very
kind of
cool.
like that with buildings, like there's a person that the building was built for, and there's a person that had experiences in that building, and there's neighbors, and there's, fans of the building, and there's like a lot more to it than just that's just somebody's house,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially I think with that architect, with it's definitely a unique
A lot of crazy stories
approach.
sure.
Yeah. So you don't have any engineering background or architectural? It's just kind of like an interest.
The premise of this podcast is that the summer before I went to law school, I wrote a letter to the Frank Lloyd Wright has an architecture school.
Mm-hmm.
Might not have it anymore. It was unaccredited, and it was more of a hippie commune type thing where you went there and worked at that school, building, renovating, farming. They brought in musicians and artists and poets on the weekends. You became part of a collective.
Really?
And that's how it's the fellowship of the Frank Lloyd Wright Architecture Foundation. It's a whole thing. It's a very weird thing. Anyway, right before I went to law school, I wrote them a letter about how I didn't want to be some lawyer who looked back on his life and thought, what if I would have been an architect? And I talk about how I don't have any skill or aptitude or interest, but it's just something that I have a passion for and that I feel like I should have did. And I never sent the letter,
but you still have the letter?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And maybe
That's
had
cool.
I sent that letter, they would have said, come to our school, and my whole life would have been different, but
it might be different now, I mean, it might be different now. I mean, you still have it, not that you have a chance to go there, but you still have a chance to experience that. I wonder the same thing in a lot of ways, because I come from a scientific family. Like my older brother's like a rocket scientist, and like, my drinking kind of fucked me up, mentally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, until, so I reset and didn't go in that direction, whatever. But there's always like alternate realities. And I always play around with the child that was going to be an archaeologist, or the child that was going to take this career path. So, I'm always, whenever I speak to somebody who has expertise in a different field, I just love trying to just grab a hold of whatever it is and understand something about whatever it is that they're really the expert in, to try to get whatever the essence of it is, whatever they do, so I think that's awesome that you're doing that as an attorney.
It's a project sitting on my wall that I haven't been able to get to, and that's part of the whole. If I move on from 10 Junk Miles, I can start doing some of these other projects that I've always wanted.
So you think you would still do races and all that? Is that
probably? I mean, until people don't want to do them, like I don't. It's the same thing with podcasting. I don't want to be that guy with there's 40 people downloading the show every. Like, I want to go out while it's still big,
Like how
5 million. So that's I would never imagine that.
Yeah.
So it's time. Everything ends. I'd rather pick my ending than have my ending put on me. Go down in a Me Too scandal with Becky Burke or something.
Yeah. There you go.
Who doesn't want that though? Come on. Hey, I feel like I've asked you this question before, but now I want to ask again, or maybe a little bit different. And sorry, then I probably got us off track, but when we were saying how Scotty, that you were able to, you're so well-rounded and you can talk about so many different areas and that you're genuinely interested in them. I mean, I feel like you can probably fake it pretty well. But
that's what she said.
But do you have shows where you've been a guest or they've been a guest where you're like, I have this person, and say it's, the astrologer kind of person where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to put 5 pencils in my eye, where it's just like, you just can't get anything. Either it's boring or like where it's like, you're just like, you don't like, where you just don't connect with the person. So it's just hard to get something out of them.
Jen Shelton was the only one. Everyone else, that was the only podcast I look back and say, Like I couldn't connect with her. I couldn't get, like I find a way to charm and disarm and connect and get a story out, find common ground, get someone talking about something that they feel comfortable with. And then from that springs whatever. But it's like you build the trust, you find the mutual interest, you show an interest in them. And then at some point they're telling you about their secrets and crying or, you know, but there's like a formula and it gets there almost all the time. Jen Shelton, she just wasn't, I don't think she was interested enough in herself, really. Like I'm trying to get her to talk about her, you know. I'm still
Do you
glad
have a tough time with when you're on other people's podcasts with like if they're kind of trying to do that with you, like for you to kind of take that other seat?
No.
Because that was something that I was joking with Art about, that I thought that the episode with you guys was great. But I was like laughing that there were moments in it where I was like, I'm like, oh, this is so funny because it's like Art is not the host, and where it was like, you know, you'd be asking him stuff and I'd be like, tell us, Art, and he'd be like, yes, and so what do you think? And I'm like, Art, you're not the host, like, you know, like and just but get like, you know, like when you're dancing and you're leading and the other person's not, like I just didn't know if when you're kind of in that other role, how that feels.
I feel comfortable with that. And I try really hard not to take over. Like that's the hard part for me. I was on Adventure Jogger this month. I was on the Running His Life podcast this month, and then now on this one. In this one, I feel a little bit more comfortable because you want me to contribute more and we know each other. But I still haven't had somebody that really stuck it to me, that really like made me uncomfortable, you know? Like, and maybe it's because people are afraid to like go into the you know, with the alcoholism or the childhood sex abuse, the things that, you know, that kind of make me who I am. They're hard things to probe, you know. Maybe me and Sally will go to places that I haven't gone to in a long time. But, you know, those are all good. I wish in retrospect that I had more of those conversations, that we talked about that more. Like it's always kind of, it's something that I talk, like me and I have talked about when I go to 12-step meetings. I always talk about childhood sex abuse. I talk about alcoholism. You know, I think that we need to have, especially boys that were sexually abused by men, they need to talk more. They need to normalize that so that people, you know, feel more comfortable talking about that. I wish that there was more of that, but it's really hard to say, okay, Becky, come on my show. I'm going to interview you. And then let me tell you stories about my horrific childhood. You know, like it's kind of hard to get that out, but you know, maybe later, you know, maybe that will come, you know, in these other, maybe that's somebody that I'll interview in my next show that I do, you know?
Yeah, that is, that's what I found. Like when I was on your show, it was a very different experience for me because like, you know, I don't have it. I mean, I talk way too much on this show.
No.
But to be able to like kind of string it together.
Well, there was so much stuff that we learned. Like I learned so much about Art that I'm like, how did I not know this about him?
Yeah.
Maybe I just tuned it out at mile 85 of, you know, some 52-hour run that we did or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think it was neat to, I really liked listening to that episode with the two of you because I got to see another side of Art, and then also even for the both of you, both being, you know, podcasters and having several like similarities and stuff where I was like, just like different connections that I made that I'm like, oh, that's so interesting, or things that were not necessarily a connection, but where there was like a little bit of like this like difference, and not a bad difference, but like, you know, different viewpoint or you know, coming from seeing things from different angles. And I just always think that kind of stuff is so interesting, and just to see how different people can look at the same thing and see something very different or experience something very different. I think it's so interesting to me.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I love about the podcast format, is that we can go long enough. And I hope people are saying to Sally, go 4 hours, go 5 hours, you know, like, because if she gives me a 45-minute window, I'm just going to turn her down and that's going to be it, you know. But like when you go 5 hours with Camille and she's crying on your couch, that's good podcast, you know, like that's stuff that people want to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, like if you looked at, you know, like like a lot of interviews, if you see one that's over 2, just go to the 2-hour mark and listen to the last hour. That's the best part.
Yes.
That's where the real good shit happens, because that's where everybody's really comfortable.
Right.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
point,
No,
good
that's
point.
that's definitely true.
Yay. Well, now
boy.
I can't wait to go to another one of your races. When is your next one? Because now you have a hiatus.
I have
Till
May, Sugar
April?
Badger in May.
Oh, May. Okay.
Memorial Day weekend, we do Sugar Badger 50-50 and half marathon. Then Badger is the first weekend in August. And then you guys should come for the last outstanding. That's the most fun, because
That
it's only
uh, why did I just forget her name? I'm so sorry. I just forgot your name. We just were
Pat?
talking about her at the beginning.
No.
Why am I forgetting?
Clarice?
No, our BFF that was on Ultra Running Magazine. Oh my God.
Ellie Pell.
Ellie
Yes,
Pell,
thank
yes.
you. Oh my God.
She had
Don't
an
you hate
injury.
that? Ellie,
She
I'm
couldn't
so
come. She had
sorry.
an injury. She'll
Why?
come next year. Yeah.
Okay.
But we had Dusty Olson doing the
Mhm.
last person standing. We had, they've got the 48-hour, the 24-hour, but it's just the 2 aid stations. So I see everybody every 8 miles, and you spend more time talking.
Yeah.
Some people are doing the 48-hour, and they're not in a hurry, so they hang out and eat. And it's a really, really cool.
Yeah.
And that last person standing is exciting. Like that's
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing.
So one of them is a 48-hour, huh?
So it's 24-hour, it's 8-hour, 24-hour, 48-hour, and last person standing. All of it.
Mm.
All together.
Oh,
Right. So there's
How
Oh,
long
I
did
think
the
position.
last
There's
person standing go?
these 48 people that are just like the 48-hour people don't give a shit about the time. And the last person standing are just obsessed with time. Like I have
Oh,
6
that
minutes.
sounds
I got 4
fun.
minutes, They went 104.2 was the longest. It was cold and rainy the whole time. Like 40
And how long
something.
was the loop?
It's
4
4 miles every hour.
4 miles. Okay.
4.16.
Yeah, so it's the 24-hour 100-mile pace.
Got it.
And the last person standing got $1,100 and something dollars. It's money. It was a big pot.
Mm.
How cool.
And every time
Where
someone
was
signs
my
up,
head?
the
50
pot goes-
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a last woman standing, so the way it works is I take a pot, and there's half the pot goes to the last person standing, and then the last man and woman split the other half of the pot. So if it's a man that wins, he gets half and a quarter, and then the woman gets a quarter, or vice
Mhm.
versa.
Okay.
The last woman
I love
standing
that.
got like $375 or something.
That's cool. Like
Nice.
that's fun and
Hmm.
I like that. All right, we're
One
going.
year, that pot's going to get so big that famous people will start coming.
So we got to
Hmm.
do it now before famous people.
Yeah, but I want to do the 48-hour.
Yeah. It's free camping. So it's just, you guys did the race. It's Dots in Belleville. That's it.
Yes. And it
Mm.
is fun. We had so much fun. I really I had such a good time at that race. I really
That
so
was
happy
that was
we went.
awesome. That was really
I still
really
keep
good
thinking
time.
about Jimmy in the water in that lake or whatever that water area was by the finish,
In the lake.
talking to all of a bunch of you, and he was like, everybody's sitting there talking away about the race, and I'm peeing. Nobody knows I'm peeing a foot away from him in this water. I was like,
I think me and Jimmy need to talk too, because he has some architecture and music issues that we could talk about.
he is another, he just has so many interests and can talk about so many different things, and he's so well-rounded. He's just knows something about something.
He sends me messages once in a while.
Oh, we miss Jimmy. We
Yeah.
got you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'll do a long run of him before I'm done.
You
What
got to
is
get
it?
Becky on the show too.
She's on the list.
I had a question for you. So long runs versus gang shows. Which do you prefer? If you could only do one, which would it be?
Long run.
Long run. Yeah.
And
That's what I would assume.
the reason why the show exists, but the long run's the one I like more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it
Yeah.
plays to who you are and just your interests and your curiosity.
And there's people that only listen to long runs, and there's people that only listen to gang shows.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's because it's I always Yeah, because it's different when you're interviewing somebody one-on-one than in a group. Because sometimes when you're interviewing somebody in a group, things get brought out that, sometimes it just takes a different twist.
Yes.
So I think it takes a broader span, but sometimes not as deep. I think that when you're one-on-one with somebody, you kind of can lock whatever, not lock horns, because that sounds like you're fighting, but you're able to like really dig down deep in on the same vein,
Well, there's not all these competing people trying to get in on the,
Yeah.
I got a joke here and I got a story about that,
Yeah.
And we've definitely had, at least just my opinion, we've had people on the show where we've been, in the middle of the show, and in my head I've thought, this would have been such a better interview if it was one-on-one, not necessarily like me and that person, but someone, because it's just too many people
stepping on everybody.
But then also other shows where you have someone on and where it might be just two of us or just one of us, and you're like, oh man, this interview with this person would have been so much better if it was like a bunch of people.
Yes.
And they were one of, because I mean, I think we've even had people on the show where we've had them like a one-on-one, or where it's just two of us with that person. And then we've had them where it's them and there's like five of us. And it's, you have like it's like two different people that you're getting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm thinking of a couple of people now, but in my head that it's just so interesting, because when you're doing a one-on-one with them, it's so different than when it's just a whole, bunch of people. So, which we can like always know, because sometimes I'm like, oh, this would be, and then you're like, what, or you're like, ooh, this is so great. Like, I know there's shows where I'm like stepping all over Art, like he's got all these questions and I'm like interrupting every 2 seconds with like,
or I'm working to get somewhere, and like Becky's like, oh, fuck the switchback, I'm going straight up the mountain. I'm going right to I'm going to ask that question. I see where you're going. I know this one.
I do.
Most shows I don't know until I get the feedback. Like I'll end the interview, I'm like, I don't know if that was good or not. And then,
yeah.
So there's a few, like the one I just did with Lindsay Walter, the alopecia, the bald, she's no hair. It was like I got done with it and I was like, oh fuck, that was good. Like people are gonna love that, sometimes. But other times you're just like, I don't know. I mean, it was just a conversation.
Yeah, we've definitely had those too, where and I feel like some of them are always like the ones that I like cringe over, where people are like, that was great. And I'm like, I sounded like an idiot. Not that it was about me, but just where, like the reaction is just not what you thought. Like there's episodes that are my absolute favorites, and I could bring it up to someone and they'd be like, what was that episode? I'm like, how do you not remember that one? That was the best. And they're like, yeah, it was all right. It was good. It was fine. But then other ones where, people really love them, and I'm like, I hate that episode.
Yeah, it is.
With Dusty, we thought. I remember we went running the next morning, and I said to the sound guy, "There's no way we're putting that out. Like we can't put that out." He accused Scott Jurek of doping. He like called him Scott Jerkoff in the middle of it, and he was intoxicated. And then we put it out anyway, and everybody fucking loved it. So what are you gonna do?
I don't know if I've ever heard that one, but I keep hearing people say that that's one of their favorites. So
so there was another podcast and they had Dusty on, and people were commenting on the interview, and I commented and said, if you ever want to come on 10 Junk Miles, we'd love to have you. And he said, May 7th, 6 malt liquor beers and a bottle of rye whiskey. I'll be there at 7. And we were all just like, is he serious? So we acted as if, and he showed up right on time, and we had concocted a drinking game. Anytime someone said Scott for Scott Jurek, that they would do a shot. But we didn't factor in the fact that my name is Scott. And Dusty forced that. So Dusty had like 60 shots. I mean, everybody was hammered, and it was just sloppy. But it was fun.
Wow.
And then we've been friends ever since. He came to the last Outstanding, like he's become one of my friends. It's very strange. I mean, there's a video out there on YouTube of the Superior Trail 100 from like 2013 with you, and if you watch the race director's announcement, you see me and my now deceased friend Alfredo Pedro Pero. I give him my phone, and then I go stand next to Dusty, and he takes a picture of me standing next to Dusty. Dusty's not in the picture. It's not like, can I take a picture? But I'm going to stand by this famous person, take a picture of us, and then
gotcha.
We switch, and then he goes and does it. And
it's like say anything.
Yep. And then somehow we became friends.
I love
funny.
that.
Great.
Oh my gosh.
That's
wow.
great.
So what so it's going to be a 10-year gig, huh?
That's what I think. But I mean, I could change my mind. I mean,
sure.
But right now I kind of feel like March 2025. So that gives me about a year and 6 months.
Yeah. No, there's that's how I think there's something to stopping while you're still having fun,
Yeah.
Not that I want to stop now. So but,
no, but it is one of those things where you kind of you know when you know or yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how time has gone by in this, even because now I'm thinking like all of a sudden, like, we were doing this before COVID. That just seems a lifetime ago.
It does seem like a long time ago.
And,
but yet it doesn't seem like that long. Like, I feel like it was so long ago, but not that long ago. I'm like, oh no, we've only been recording for a year. Nope. 5 years, 4 years. I'm like, it's crazy. Who knew that I would come on, talk about Christine Jinhing's eyebrows,
and
that would all be history.
There you go. Wow. So Scotty, so what do you you're just you're running again now? Yep. Is that right?
Yep. I'm going to start this week, try and do some 5Ks and I'll be crewing the turkey trot, the world's longest turkey trot this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back in Chicago, but I won't be ready to run for that.
Yeah.
Law's busy and, working on getting the races together for next year. And
you don't strike me as somebody that has downtime. Like, even when you're relaxing doing something. Like, you don't
I read and listen to music. So my vinyl collection and my reading, those two things go together. So I have a room upstairs. I call it the coffee house. So tonight when I get done, I'm going to go eat and then we'll retire to the coffee house. I'll put on a nice Neil Young album and get my book.
Like Neil Young.
Just sit and read and listen to vinyl.
Right. And are you one of those people that sleeps for like 4 hours a night, kind of like Celeste?
Yeah, maybe like 6 now. Like, I don't sleep as much, but
if I got 6 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. What about
I gotta take drugs to get 6 hours.
I try to there's a lot of drama when I sleep. So
no.
Needless to say. So
I do remember when we that's come on, right. Your big sleeping apparatus, and I was like, what is that? Like, we woke up and I looked over and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. You thought you were
what happens at Badger stays at Badger.
Having a flashback of Goose at Top Gun, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I probably get between 6 and 8, but
seriously?
Yeah. That's
wow.
That's about
I'm
6 to 8. But
jealous.
You
but
don't
then
nap
I'm up
either.
I
no.
I
no.
Never, I don't know what a nap is. I wish
if
I nap, I'm 6. Or like if I'll do, an overnight run where I've run all day all night. Like if Sunday, I'll probably come home and take a nap after hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And then I'll be up.
I keep forgetting that I have a race this weekend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we all have races this weekend. Yes.
that's right. Yeah, so Celeste, you're gonna go hamster wheeling.
Yep.
You're going for 100. Is that right?
We're gonna try.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Hopefully.
All
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
And have you
I
done
figure-
130 hours?
No.
Yay.
That's
You
why, like, I can do the 100. We all know I can do that. It's just, can I do it in the 30 hours?
you
So.
can do it.
We'll
Have you
see.
been? You've
I
been to, and you've been on that course before.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And we have a good group going.
Yeah,
There's
you do have a really good group.
huge group that's going to be there, and we'll set up tent city, and
That'll be fun.
yeah, we'll have a
That's
time.
good.
Yes, Art and I and to New York Bonanno and Maya and
Maya
other
Sorensen,
people.
our pharmaceutical rep.
Yes, who will have pharmaceuticals first. We are going to Stone Cat in Mass to do the 50. Amaya is doing the half marathon. We're doing the 50.
And then
And,
she's gonna take care of us for the rest of the time.
We'll see.
Is she?
Yeah, Tony Banano.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he'll probably at some point fall, get a black eye, maybe break a limb, not a limb, maybe a digit.
They'll
Dislocate.
dislocate something.
Dislocated 2 fingers the other day.
It's not a run with to New York if there isn't blood.
That's right. His superpowers is his feet. He has magnets in his feet that attract rocks and roots. And so he can find them. Like it's like a metal detector with his feet. He can just find them instantly. And
that he can run in almost any attire.
yeah.
He can pull off jeggings and no chafing, sparkly
Jorts.
jackets. I mean,
Jorts.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. He's running in a jacket, right?
Yes.
Like
he
in
did.
a
He
suit
wore
jacket?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
The sparkly, like too tight, 3/4 sleeve jacket that I don't think
Yeah.
I could even put on for like a minute and not be uncomfortable. And he wore it for 26 miles.
Mm.
I gotta just not trip and fall. Like I mean, that's my big fear is I don't want to re-break the rib.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because doesn't that stink? It's kind of like when but worse, like when you break like a toe or a finger, because like, what can they do? Like you can't really,
You can't
put
do
a
anything.
brace on it.
It's the most pain I've ever had
Mm.
Oh,
in my life. Yeah, the worst. It was the worst. That first week, the first like 3 or 4 days, I was on Oxycontin. I
Oh,
cried
shit.
Every time I had to move. I mean,
I was just going to ask, if you don't mind me asking, was that a scary thing having?
Oh, it's so complicated. It's so complicated. And so many like familiar behaviors. And it's just like, generally, I would say I don't want any pain medication, or I'd like non-narcotic pain medication.
Mm-hmm.
I would have snorted a line of cocaine. I was hurting so bad at that emergency room. Like I need pain medication now.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me the Oxycontin, but 3 days later, so my whole approach to pain medication is, can I stretch it out? Can I go longer? I want as needed to mean, try and make it, if they say 6 hours, go for 7, go for 12, try and make it 24.
Yeah.
And if you can make it 24 hours without it, then you don't need it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
But I reached a point where I took some and I laid in bed and I was just like, now I know why people get addicted to this shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is so powerful. So I did 3 days and then I was out, and they gave me a week's worth. So, but then I give it to my wife, and I have to tell my wife that I want it. And, and then she's like, are you sure? And yeah. And then, now I feel like I'm begging for drugs from somebody. It's very complicated, but I could not move. I mean, it's like if you've ever had an injury in your back. When you injure your back back seizes, and then it makes you tense, which makes the pain worse, which makes you tense more, which makes the pain, it's like you're trapped.
Mm.
It's the same way with the lung, it's just, and then if you have to sneeze or cough or
Breathe.
Yeah. Poop.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah. It was terrible. But I'm past it now. Now it's just, don't get re-injured and I'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're on the mend there. That's
Yes,
that's good. And beginning running sucks, right? Just keep that in mind. that
Right.
like
Or it could be joyous. It could be
Oh,
like
no.
you're so excited that you we're being positive.
yes,
That you are
that-
like, you know what? My ribs don't hurt because my lungs are burning. And I love that my lungs are burning because my lungs are burning because I'm running again and
Mm.
not because my dog tripped me and I fell and broke my rib. I just put a little cup. You know, I am partially putting a positive spin on that because I'm doing my 50 this weekend and I have my training base is nil. So there's going to be a lot of those like
Swearing?
oh, this is what this feels like. I forgot.
Slow and steady. That's all I'm going to do.
Yes.
yes.
That's all I'm capable of doing.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So you're doing your 5K this weekend? Or you're starting with
I'm
5Ks?
just going to start running 3 miles at a time.
Okay.
Not running a 5K.
I hate 5Ks. I did one last weekend.
So you
I
did the
walked
mom and
one
pop
this
race?
weekend.
No, that's the Saturday.
Oh, that's this Saturday.
Yes, but I'll
okay.
be here. I was at the local 5K in Portland.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. The come on over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good. Well, you know what? I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call up Fred and I'm gonna have Fred read the
Do the
Patreons for us
Patreons?
at a later date,
I like it.
That's perfect.
and because I know it's Halloween and that you guys have records to listen to and some books to read and
Yes.
and some
I have a new
kids
book to
scare.
start reading tonight. So
That's right. Because we got some catching up to do with to Celeste because she's just she's a couple hundred ahead of us at this point. So
I enjoy reading. I don't watch TV really though. So like
Hmm.
instead of watching TV, I'll listen to a book
that's
or
Yeah.
very
read.
good.
Or, yeah.
Better use of your time. Better use of your time.
it is. I should
Yeah.
do that because I'm like,
Oh, please don't think I'm reading books that will give me any kind of intellectual edge. No. No. Unless you count, like I read a lot of murder books. So unless
I love those.
Yeah, me too.
They just give you
I consider
options
those
for
self-help.
somebody gets you really
I mean-
angry. You have a lot of options.
It's self-help, just a different kind.
yeah.
And I'm available anytime.
To murder?
No.
Yes.
If you ever get in a jam and you need another guy, I'm your man. Just let me know.
Okay.
That's right.
I'll jump in anytime.
Perfect, because I'll need it. About mile 85 this weekend. It's gonna be
Well, I
There you
mean,
go.
for Cultra, like if you guys, if you're short,
Oh,
don't ever
well,
hesitate.
that's awesome.
that's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun having
I
you
know. I
on,
love talking to Scotty. I feel a little smarter.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
fangirling for me, right? Because this is the first time I've got to meet him, and
I think
You
I
know.
pet you, Scotty, when we first met.
You did.
So I totally get it. I literally was petting him.
Yes.
I was.
I'm
I was
usually
like,
told
oh
I
my
can't
God.
pet what I want, but okay.
It was really hard to be out in that velour tracksuit and have people not touching me. We went to 2 concerts. I worked an aid station. At Dots, I couldn't, no hugs. It was very hard.
Mm.
I thought for
With the
sure the
broken
whole time
rib.
we were at Hennepin, someone was going to come rolling into mile 62 and see me and just run in and then I was going to scream, but it didn't happen.
Gosh. Wow.
That's great.
Well, thank you, everybody. And
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right, I'll see you in 50.
Yeah, we got to work up the
15 and a half
details of what
miles?
time we're leaving.
Yeah,
and stuff like
we
that,
got to talk
so-
about that.
And I'll
We'll
see
do all that.
all of you guys in like a mile and a half.
Mile and a half.
All right. That's
Yes.
good, except are we going to seek professional help?
We should.
I always do every Tuesday at 3:00.
Okay. Okay. All
Ooh.
right. What should we ask the Magic 8 Ball tonight?
Oh, what should
Are we going to
ask?
get to the race on time on Saturday?
No.
Because this fucking thing starts at 5 o'clock.
The day's half over at 5.
It is. So let me ask it. Are we going to make it
right.
on time? Don't count on it. Okay.
See,
all right.
this is why
Yeah.
you guys need me, because
I know.
I would
we
wake
do.
you up. 5
With
a.m.
Celeste. Okay.
The day's half over.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. No, that's so we're going to channel our inner Celeste, right?
All right. We
Yep.
will.
And wake up early and make it all happen. So
Yes, we will. All right.
So your trip was good and everything?
Oh yeah, it was good. It's a
Good.
little heavy, going through the South. Like uh, all of the stuff we saw was like about civil rights stuff. Like yesterday, I walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which is where
yes.
like the MLK march was, and and his 50-mile walk to Montgomery from Selma and all that stuff.
So do they have an ultra there?
They should. I don't think so, but they really should.
Why not?
Why not have the 50-mile ultra? Like, yeah.
Yeah, if it's 50, it was 50 miles exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And, I was saying to my wife, like, I think it took him like 3 days. And I was like, if he had Hokas and like goos and stuff, he probably could have done it in a day. Right?
What kind of crew did he have?
He's like walking in a suit with like dress shoes on, and then like they had cots set up on the side of the road at night so he could sleep and then, get up the next day and do it again.
They got to get him out of the aid stations, right?
Exactly.
I mean, like, I'm sure he wasn't like, he was probably moving at a good pace. But then when he stopped, he was too long there. And he's like,
exactly. Right. You're making no progress when you're stopped.
I'm done for the night. And they should have said, what?
No,
You're not
absolutely
done. Just,
not.
You got to get up and keep going.
Come on, Martin, get moving. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the king.
Right.
Come on. Jeez.
I'm asking Google right now how many days it took.
Well, it wasn't all about like, he was there for more of a social thing than he wasn't trying to see how fast he could get through it, right?
It was not a race.
He was there to connect with people.
And I think he wanted it to be in the news as long as possible too.
Yeah. He wanted to get his money's worth.
Right.
It wasn't a race, but it was about race.
Let's see. 5 days, 54 miles.
Okay. That's like less than a half a marathon a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a little under 11 miles a day.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could have cut that down.
Yeah, it's his first effort. I mean, he
It was
finished, right?
his first ultra, and he did finish. That's true.
It's his first, yeah. I mean, maybe he did those, but then fucking JFK went and copied him, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure which came first. Whether it was because I think JFK, he was dead by then. This was in 65. He did this.
Oh, yeah, he was dead.
So JFK in 63, said that like everybody should be able to do a 50 miler, and RFK went out and did it in dress shoes.
Oh,
so his little brother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like contemporaneous, like within a couple of years. The two of them were doing dueling ultras.
Okay. All right. That works. They should actually have, I bet they have to have some kind of a reenactment of that course or something, or
you can, I drove the
route.
course yesterday, and they have like all these historical markers, like here's where they like camped the third night and stuff like that, but
so it's even a marked course.
Yes, but Highway 80 is not. It was like being at Vol State. Like it was not a great
where
running.
I was going.
not a great
Is it
running
worse
road.
than Ball State? Like,
No,
are you
no
jumping
worse.
down
Yeah.
a 4-foot ditch to avoid a car?
Yeah, not that bad. Yeah, very small shoulders in places, but you could always do it. So yeah, I think it's doable. You could have an unsanctioned ultra there.
Okay, let's. Okay, we gotta think about this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not our place to do that, but still,
No, correct.
It's our place to think about it at least.
One of the things, like when you go to these places, like the thing we did yesterday afternoon was this whole peace and contemplation park that was really trying to mention and make us all think about all the lynchings that have happened in the country. And and so we're walking around, and like Karen and I, and there are a lot of African American people going through there. And I was like, they must be thinking like, fuck you guys, this really happened to us. It didn't happen to you, I'm not saying you did it, but it didn't happen to you. This happened to us. So it's a tough, something you got to do, but it's a tough thing to visit and see,
Yeah, I bet. And that's like, I think the same thing is probably true of how the people who live in Dachau feel,
Yes. Oh yeah, exactly.
And they do. Yeah. They're like, fuck, this happened here. But
yeah,
you know what? I'm German and I live here. So,
I had this interesting discussion with a guy who ran a restaurant, like he runs a restaurant in the hotel that we were staying in. And he was like, you should like walk around Birmingham and just get the feel of it, because there's this heavy civil rights presence, and all that like police violence and civil rights struggle and stuff happened to us, but it's not who we are. Like we're not living museums, we're just people in a city, like, and it's an eclectic city, and there are different interesting restaurants and places to go and galleries and stuff. And so you should check out the civil rights stuff, but don't think that that's like Birmingham is a museum. That was an interesting point.
Yeah. That's probably a good way to look at it. Is a lot of times the events that define areas may be their identity, but it doesn't mean that it's how they are necessarily every day, right?
Yeah, if you're like that, you're like we said, Dachau or Auschwitz or something, the people there aren't living that reality now. This happened in this place, and here's a museum to it, but we're just Polish people living here.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So you want to? Can you see the screen here?
I can.
Okay. Then maybe we can do this and. So
back to our lives.
Yeah. Let's see. But they. Okay, so we were in the middle of a big. We had a great time talking to Scotty about, like Walmart and Main Street and Ironman and Main Street and Merrill Street and Main Street and the whole, just big versus small. Does it make it bad?
This is from the guy who hates Western states because it's too elite.
Well, we talked about that too.
Yeah.
Just talked about like fucking everybody's like it, because it's so full of inconsistencies, like the ideas and the shit that happens. There's like no it's like, fuck them and fuck anybody who wears a race bib or or pays for anything, or no, it was like, oh yeah, but Western states is kind of like a qualifier for that World Series, and then it's like, well, or that's a nonprofit where they're making very good money.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like what you were saying, like the stealing and squatting on races has been happening forever, and like you were talking about Bear Mountain, like that. a lot of my friends who like nice, good people and stuff ran the Bear Mountain what was it? Like the New Balance series or something. And they didn't know that race had basically been stolen from, what was it, Kim Levinsky who had that before? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're just running a race that they thought was interesting, you know? They didn't know.
Yep. And they're going to advertise so much that they're going to find the people who may not know.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Gary Robbins is determined to sweep up all the local volunteers and make it hard on UTMB. Yeah. But, you know, they're a huge company. They'll
bring in scabs.
They will. They'll persevere.
They'll bring in scabs. It'll be like, you know, it's fucking like, Canada. There's like snow on the mountains and shit like that. And they'll be like giving them like, you know, desert burritos or something. You know, they'll bring in guys from like Arizona or something.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's what they'll do. Yeah.
I don't know. All right. So I guess we're probably just going to cut into this and then cut out.
All right. So should I just start reading the names then?
Yeah, let's do that. So because here at Cultra, we're 112% listener supported. And boy, now I'm sounding like an official announcer dude, right?
Here at Cultra, we're 112%.
And we'd like to thank all of our Patreons who came in at the basic liquor level.
Because, you know,
if you lick us, then Becky will no.
Becky will not. But the rest of us may just lick you right back.
The rest of us have, you know, that could happen.
We have lower, we don't have scruples, so we'll lick you right back.
That's right. Fine. So, so there you go. We've kind of cut out the middleman though, right?
Oh yeah. There's no middleman.
Fuck the middleman, right? So like we're not sponsored. Hey, you know what? And like I also heard a good discussion that that Scotty had with my God, I am just losing my mind tonight. A good discussion that Scotty had with Ryan Pluckelman regarding sponsorship and things like that, because I know that Ryan initially said that he was going to be 100% listener supported, and that he kind of rethought it and said, you know, fuck this, I'm putting a lot of time into this. I need to make, you know, I might as well make some money and get paid for the time that I'm putting into this. So, which is fine.
Sure. You can make race director money, like what, like $1 an hour, maybe $2-3 an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not like necessarily doing it to make money here. I mean, I guess, right?
No, I think we're doing it to lose money, if anything, right?
We are.
Yeah.
But if we did make money, that would be fine.
We're not against it.
We're not against it. We're definitely not against it. But we want to cut out the middleman. That was like our experiment here.
Yes.
And by doing that, instead of telling you, oh, these are, you know, our great friends at Booger Nutrition, where you can't pick a better nutritional supplement, comes in the easy nose package. That's not even really that.
The nose.
Yeah. Instead of doing that, we just, you know what, we just want to celebrate the people who support us. So
we do. I love these people.
Yeah. So I'd like to give a commercial here to one of the people that we sponsor, because that's how actually we did it in the first couple episodes in the really early days of Cultra. We used to have specific shout outs to the businesses and people that support us. So I'd like to give a shout out to one of our Patreon supporters, and that is Gelato. And Gelato's a realtor. So if you want to buy a house, I would call Gelato, okay?
Or sell a house.
Or sell a house.
Gelato.
That's right.
Yes.
If you're buying a house or selling a house or selling a house that's been bought, or
buying a house that's been sold.
That's been sold before, or building a house that you want to sell, or selling a house that you want to build, Gelato is the one to call. And because it's not easy, as you can tell by my explanation there, it's not simple, and she'll help you figure it out. So,
and she's a lot more than a frozen confection.
That's right. Yeah, she's very chill and delicious, and she can help you sell a house,
right?
So, or buy a house, and I think we covered that. So, I'm going to put a link to her. I guess she goes by her like realtor name is like Gelineau. And it might be.
She has another name that's not Gelato?
No, that's her realtor name. That's the fake name. That's the fake name that she uses at work. Her office gave her that name.
I've heard somebody. One time I heard somebody yell "Kate" to her, and I was like, "What? That's Gelato."
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're looking to buy or sell or buy your seller, she's the one to call, and I will have a link in the show notes to that, to her. So, but in the meantime, we're going to celebrate all of our listeners. We're 112% listener supported. So we want to thank you guys. That's hashtag Hundo Joe. Who, you know what? I have to reach out to Joe and see if he's going to be doing Stone Cat this weekend. Which
he may be
going out to do that there in Hamster Wheel. So, and then we have Big Money Albert Star Galactica. Now,
by the way, is actually getting big money, apparently.
He is. He has like money magnets on his shoes, I think.
There's some gnarly looking coins in his hands in those pictures, but it's money. It's legal tender.
Like, that shit would scare like cashiers in like Connecticut. Cashiers would look at that and say, "Oh," but that's like some New York coin there. It's seen some shit, right?
Yes, it's been through some shit. Yes.
That's right. The coins have tattoos on them. It's rough stuff. We have a Marcus.
Hey, Marcus.
Marcus. He could be our cousin.
He could be. Hey, Marcus.
Hey, Marcus. We have Adam Osmond. I'm hoping Adam's going to show up at the Know Your Pace race, which I got to give a little plug for that right now. That's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and it's in Manchester on the Manchester Road Race course at mile 4, starting at 8:00 sharp. It's $5 to enter. Okay. And you go there, and all you do is you predict your finishing time, and whoever gets closest to their actual finishing time, you can't run it with your watch. If you predict your time and get it, whoever guesses the best wins. So,
but it'll never be seen on Strava. So just remember.
We're even thinking about that. We might even let people, because I know now it's kind of a weird thing. Before it was like, oh, I'll just write that I ran this far and I know how fast I ran. I'll just put it into my Excel spreadsheet or pencil it in with my slide rule or whatever you did, however it was done. And now, so we might put tape over watches if people want to actually run with their watch.
Okay.
So
interesting. Little masking tape or something.
Yeah.
You can mask it.
That's right. Yeah. Even though it's not Halloween anymore. Then we have Amy Jennifer Hanlon. And Amy Jennifer Hanlon's Fry End.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Amy Mower Power. I was out mowing today with my mower, and it didn't quite have enough power. It's battery operated, and I'm doing leaves with it, and I gotta.
Oh yeah, that's a tough ask for the battery power.
Because you're chopping them up and everything, and you're charging as you're mowing, and then you're going and getting them and swapping them out, and I don't know. I might have to fire up the old oil burner there and go back at it. We have Amaya Sorensen. She's actually coming out to run the Stone Cat as well. She's not going to do the 50. I think she's going to do maybe the half marathon there, if I'm not mistaken. So looking forward to seeing her tomorrow.
And she'll stay on the course, or she can stay on the course.
She will. We have Andy Tide, who no longer tied because he actually won.
He won.
He did. So
he's still the pride of Plymouth, though.
Yes,
because he's solid as a rock. Andy.
Yep, and Scotty actually claimed him on our show.
What?
Well, and I said, listen, he belongs to us. He belongs to us all, for the greater good. So,
but he's a New Englander.
Yeah.
Scotty's out there in the Midwest.
Correct. Yep. We have Angelia Rose. And that's like a different pronunciation. So I don't know. We got to work with it. Right?
It's a fine wine any way you look at it.
It's in flux. That's right. We have Antonio de Betancourt. So I think we're going to have him on in the near future because, as it turns out, he has some. You know how we were talking the other day about Big's backyard?
Yeah.
And we were talking about, gosh, I wonder what I think we were talking about strategies and different things like that. So it turns out that he was there for quite a bit of that, and he was actually helping a crew there.
Really?
So I think we're going to have him on to get some dank beta, so that you too can go out and win Big's backyard with the help.
Because some shit went down there. You got to know what went down to get in there.
They like learned how to switch the body into neutral, right? And just like fucking, you just like you close off it's kind of like a starship where you shut down all systems, shut down life support to the bare minimum.
Yeah, all unnecessary systems shut down, right?
And just we're going to run on impulse speed,
Right?
Impulse
speed. Yeah.
And it's just like you're just running off of the glow of the nuclear reactor, which has a half-life of like 3 billion years. So Harvey Lewis probably could have run for about 3 billion years, I think.
And anybody who didn't read Laz's last wrap-up really should just go to Facebook or wherever it was and read it, because it was really great. And, like what he wrote about Harvey looking like he was ready to drop for like 6 straight hours. And then all of a sudden it's like, and like word came back to the camp, like one of the 2 who are left now has dropped, and they were all like, oh, poor Harvey. And like, nope, not Harvey. Harvey's gonna win, because he put it on impulse power and just kept going. Like he's a stud though. He has been on the national team and stuff like that.
Yeah. Jeez. That's impressive shit, right?
And he's an elementary school teacher in Cincinnati. So hooray for teachers.
Is he got to be at work the next day?
I don't think he went to work the next day. But he did go to work the following week. I think he took that week off because he just didn't know how long it was going to go.
Yeah. Well, I know somebody who there's quite a few people have had that shit happen, right? They're in the middle of these things and it's like, oh, I forgot I have to get married in February. So,
I think one year there's that guy who Laz called Legolas, the guy from Sweden, who was like, I got to get back there by Wednesday or something. And he eventually, he was still going, and he and somebody else agreed to tie or something because he had to leave. He had to get back to Sweden.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. If sometimes you got to go back to Sweden, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes Sweden's got to come here.
Right. I think there's a song about that, probably, right? If there's not, there should be.
There should.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have Austin Frank.
Hot Dog King of Texas.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He is the sausage king there. So, and we have Azam Pulatov. I haven't seen him in a while. I got to catch up with him sometime. So I think talking to Scotty, I think we're going to go back to fucking Badger.
I think I might go back there next year. Yeah.
I think so too. I think that was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
Such a good time. And
we could bring Celeste out. She's never been there.
Can they handle Celeste?
No, nobody can handle Celeste. Let's be honest.
I mean, they're going to have to train for that shit, right? Because I don't think they think they can, right? Because they think if it were point to point, they might be able to, but an out and back and out, I don't think so, because at that point, a lot of people will have seen her.
Twice. They'll be on their 3rd time. They will not be able to handle that.
And you know what happens the 3rd time, right?
Yeah. It's the charm.
It's like the third date.
Yeah.
It's just weird shit's gonna happen. So right, then who do we got? We have Ben Nillette. All right, Ben, I
Ben
gotta see what
Nillette.
Ben's up to. So hopefully he'll come and hang out at the cut again. Have Ben with one N.
One
and
N
the
Ben
Benjamin Griffin.
with 4 N's.
He's got so many N's.
Showing off his ends.
He has so many N's that he fucking loans them out to other people who need them. Like, he's like, listen, I got a lot of N's. I know many runners, most runners are an N of 1, right? We hear that shit all the time.
All the
He's
time.
got so many N's, he just fucking gives them away.
Yeah.
Even to people who don't have an N, he will appoint you one.
Well, when people say like, well, I'm an N of 1, and he's like, I'm an N of 4.
Yeah.
Right.
So bite me. I'm much more accurate and reliable than you are.
Yeah. Think of how much more accurate I am.
Statistically speaking. We have the Berkshire Trailheads.
Repping the Shire, as always.
I hope maybe we'll see some trailheads up at the Stone Cat.
Well, you very well may. Our man Duran is going to Hamster Wheel though to do a little pacing and support.
It almost feels like it's like one of these battles. Like I'm with Team Hamster Wheel. I'm with Team Stone Cat.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Duran's doing it that way. Okay, that's how he's going to be.
We see how it is.
Yeah, I do. I'm picking up what he's putting down. He's running so far away from us. So
yeah,
we got Bessic Hustle.
Bessic. I haven't seen him recently. When I say the other day, like a month ago, I was like running down Cornwall Street in Cheshire, and I see this big guy crossing the rail trail, and I was like, that's Bessic. And I like swung in behind him, and I'm like, I'll just catch up to him and say hi. And there was no catching up to him. He was on a mission. He just got farther and farther away, and I was like, Bessic.
Yeah. He I think I mentioned that I saw him at the I should just shut up because I can't fucking remember my own name tonight. I haven't slept in I bragged it during this show that everybody's listening to, like, oh yeah, I'm a great fucking sleeper. I didn't sleep after recording this show. I think because I was eating Halloween candy. And then last night I was like, I'm going to sleep because I didn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep last night either. So I'm like, Harvey Lewis has got nothing on me. I'm pretty tired right now.
All right. If only you'd run 4 miles every hour. You'd think it like 4.167.
I ran like 4 miles this week. So
all right. That's good.
I ran 7 yesterday, so I think that's pretty good. We got Bikini Chicken.
Where's Becky to go? Wah, wah.
I know. Got Bill Gibbs.
One of the originals.
Yeah. Yeah, Gibbs. Yeah, he's except no imitations,
That's right.
Only genuine Bill Gibbs. We got Bill Gilpatrick, the Patriotic Patreon.
When Bill Gibbs was up, before we leave him completely, when he was on for that few minutes that we had him on about something, and he was talking about unsanitary stuff, and I think that it turned out I thought he was going to go with the runners have a stank, and yet I have to give them massages, but it was some of the people who do these things don't wipe down their tables and stuff in between, and I was like, yeah, but what about the runners, Bill? Don't they stink? But he seemed very gracious about the stinky runners.
Yeah, he'll touch if you're
stinky runners.
About you. He doesn't mind.
He doesn't mind if you stink. Right?
That's right. It doesn't matter. And let's see.
Back to Gilpatrick, right? And Billy O.
We got Billy O. He's getting ready, I know, for the big race.
Registration is open for Warmog. So even though it's next spring, it's open.
That's right.
Sign up. 50th year.
A mug.
Or a mug.
Get in there.
Get in there and do it. 50th year.
Yep. I'm going to be there. I might even be there, or I may be square. But something's going to happen. So I might be crewing and pacing, or I may be racing. I'm not sure yet. We're going to figure it out.
Both are acceptable.
We have Brian Musiak.
Listen to the music.
That's right. Yes. We have B. Rice Henley. Got Celeste Fong Ding Dong. But you guys knew that because you heard her on the show, although she was rather quiet during this episode.
Uncharacteristically quiet.
She was. Yes. She was. I think she was a little. She said she was feeling a little fangirlish. So.
All right.
But
really?
That's okay.
For Scotty?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like that. He has that effect, So she's like, I'm not saying shit without my attorney Fred here. So
that's right.
So she just pleaded the fifth basically the whole show. I don't know.
All right. That's fair. I told her to do that.
That's good. That's good. She recused herself from the episode. We have Sherry Bilby.
I saw her name today because today is the day Jenny Hoffman is going to finish her cross-country run. And Sherry commented on, there's the Run Jenny Run Facebook page. And Jenny was saying how hard it was. And Sherry said something really nice, like, we're following you from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get her back on. She was such a great guest on the show.
She was.
And maybe we'll give her a little bit of time to recover.
Yeah.
We'll because tomorrow at noon.
She's going to, right now, I'm assuming she's finishing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
She will have the second fastest documented crossing of either gender, fastest woman's crossing by about 2.5 days. And the second male right now, the second fastest crossing is Phil, who's going to be like, I think, a day behind her. So pretty impressive stuff. Yeah. Jenny is you could gather it when we had her on that she's a person who's extremely motivated. She's a very motivated person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really nice. Really motivated.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So definitely got to get her back.
Yeah.
Get her back on. Jenny, come back. Sorry, we ruined your Transcon run, Jenny.
your Black Panther party. Yeah. Yeah, I got the reference.
Oh, very good. We have Chocolatey fucking Chip,
who is in the middle of a 2-week cruise, I think, right? I think he's cruising the Caribbean.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday he likes greetings from Megan's Bay in St. Thomas. And I was like, oh, I've been to Megan's Bay. There's a clothing optional side if you go way around to the right.
Oh,
he was like, nah, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's interesting.
Well, I was there in 1979 when, clothing optional seemed, all right to me.
Is he sharing vacation pictures or?
Yes. That, some. Like this was a picture of Megan's Bay, like the beach. It wasn't a picture of like him on the beach.
Not Megan's actual bay.
But... Not Megan herself, right?
Okay. All right. Okay, listen, we better get going here.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to go longer than the episode. It would be pretty funny. Scotty posts a 5-hour episode.
Yeah, that would be funny. All right.
We have Chris Rosal Knows All, Sees All.
Is all?
Yepper. We have Christine Shinhing. I saw her about a week and a half ago over at the stairs. We have Clinton. I can't even say it. Clement Scented Chunks.
All right, Clement.
Yeah. So we had him on the show 2 episodes ago. So definitely check that out if you haven't. We have Clarice Reinhardt, who also was a winner over at the Womp Romp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarice, way to go.
Yeah.
Clarice is seriously fast. She can do it.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And we had Craig Wallace reporting live from the finish line out in Cultra City.
60 minutes only.
That's right. Well, or faster.
Or faster, 60 minutes or less.
60 minutes or less. That's right. Sub 60. We have Crutchley, who's winning hearts and minds of the ultra running community.
Haven't seen him recently. I catch up with him.
I did. I saw him. And then we have Dan Braveheart. So
yeah, freedom, Dan.
Right. He's our freedom runner.
Freedom.
Oh, that's right. Paint your face. And do that, Dan. I think Dan's famous for at the start of a race, he like runs back and forth in front of the starting line, like, runs back and forth from left to right, just kind of like cheering, giving everybody psyched up for the race.
Exhorting the other runners. Yes. Run with passion.
That's right.
And don't forget our strategy. We're taking on the British.
Yeah. Don't forget what LSE did to us many years ago. We have to have LSE on sometime.
Yeah, I know.
Contractually, I meant.
There you go. Yeah, we owe him.
Dave Hoops and Poops. He's on vacation. Dave Hide and Seek. Yeah, I've been hanging out with him a bit lately. So I've been bumping in. He's been like Mr. Man on the running scene in Connecticut lately. Seen David Hyde is popping up all over the place. So you can run and David will hide. So
there you go.
And then our triple David, our triple D's here, part of our triple D series. We have a David Kaplan, who's been studying hard. We have Ellen Cretella Patella Connell. So she's got the Cretella Patella. It's a specially shaped patella.
It's the best knee.
It is. And we have Ellie Pell.
Ellie.
We got to have Ellie back on soon because I think that's what we all need. So
we all need a little Ellie Pell in our lives. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I think next episode would probably be weird because we're going to be all like, all high on like stone cat dust and and
hamster wheel,
hamster wheel oil.
So,
yeah, it'll be a little bit ugly. That I don't think she wants to be part of that. But
Ellie's so famous that Tony B had to go all the way to Boulder to stalk her.
I know.
Right?
I know. It's gotten that
That's
serious.
How famous she is. It's gotten that serious.
Yeah. We have Emily Mayer, the mayor of Cultra City. I'm sure she is up to no good somewhere. Enrique Teo. I think he may be. I wonder, did they already have the taco run? Did that happen? Taco Trots?
I don't think so. I don't think it happened.
That might be this weekend.
Really? With everything else going on?
I don't know. Why not? I'm going to just fucking say that, right? Call me a liar. I'm a fool.
But Enrique
Call
is.
me Maurice.
He's because you speak of the pompatus of love.
Yeah.
So Enrique is father, the chosen one.
He is. Yes.
Chosen one's been putting up some runs up there in Green Mountains.
We have the founding father of Lord of the Rings, Franklin Gandiaga.
There you go. Gandiaga the Grey?
Yes. Franklin Gandalf. We have Fred Wills. And you know what? I'd like to see Fred Wills. Let's see. We should have like Battle of the Cultra Patreons. Fred Wills versus Andy Tidd.
All right, there you go.
Let's see. It's about to go down. And then they can just like...
Some pretty good runners there.
There are, yeah. There are. I actually haven't checked that battle statistically, but I don't know. It would be just like...
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And potential.
Fred would be like, I kept pulling away, but every time I did, he just stayed with me.
Yeah. And then at the end, we tied.
We fucking tied again. I couldn't help it. No matter how hard I wanted to.
Oh.
My will wore out. So then we have fuck Arby's, right?
Yeah.
Said. Just fuck them. Fuck that. Fuck Arby's and urine malarkey. You're in the malarkey butt. So we have Geoffrey Myler, who is actually the one who made all men look bad at the end of after Jamie Myler finished the Cut 112
Yes, that's true.
By picking his wife up and carrying her across the boardwalk because her feet were all mangled. So
yeah, that was like graduate level husband work. Yeah, it was like, and it does make us all look bad.
Yeah, it was like you had me at Boston Hollow. Sorry. Little nitmug joke there, but it didn't even have to do with this race. But we have let's see. Oh, Heidi Stearns and Foster, right?
Yeah.
Or she could be like she could be hiding on a boat. So
oh, in the back of the boat. And the hiding Stearns. Yeah, okay. I like it.
Yep.
I'll allow it.
All right. And then JJ Duran, whatever. Going hamster wheel.
JJ hamster wheel. Right.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, look it. And he's miraculously or coincidentally, I think not, next to Jack I. Smith, who's also team hamster wheel, right?
Right. Who'll be helping. He'll be helping at hamster wheel. Yes.
That's right. So go get him, Jackie. We have Jacques Sarbach, who got called back by his country, right? They called him back to France, and I don't know, he's opening up a franchise of bread machines, baguette machines. Apparently, I don't know, trying to do some partnership. We have Jake Cocotin, the infamous Jamie Myler. Yep, we got Jank.
Jamie Myler, who apparently runs faster in France than she does in the U.S.
Why? How's that?
She's super fast in the U.S., but she like kicked ass at that French race. Was that like, I think it was like 100-miler, right? Or
no, it was probably 100-kilometer.
I was thinking, I think it might have been 161 kilometers. I don't know. It was a lot though. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, but
who does that?
She was killing it. The French when they want to do 100-miler.
And Jamie does too. All right, we got Jank. I think Jank is going to open their own clothes line, right? Their own line of apparel. I'm wearing my Jank clothes today.
Yeah, all right.
Like if you just had a shirt or a hat that said Jank across the top of it.
You know what? That would be a seller.
Fuck, I might just do that.
Yeah, you should.
I might just like, don't tell anybody. Oh, we do have okay, go check our store. It may already be for sale there. Oh, and remember, read the fine print before you donate to Patreon. We reserve all rights to your name once you sign off. That's kind of what you get, you know, right? Is that legal, Fred?
Jank t-shirt, all rights reserved by Cultra.
That's right. That's right. Errors and omissions. Jessica Crandall. Oh, I wonder where she's running next.
Somewhere fast.
Yeah. Gillian Elefson. I wonder when she's going to run in France. Right? I mean, she should.
Has a sound to it. Yeah, I'd say
it. Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Terrain charts in a bunch.
Who's not been getting out there that much recently. I mean, for racing, but he did Bimblers for like the 10th time, I think, or something, right? A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
With like no training and just like fucking.
Well, yeah, because, you know, he has a couple little babies at home, you know, he's got dad duties.
He's working the ultra.
Yes. And yeah, that's a long ultra.
Joseph Morris Rowe, keeping New York safe.
That's right. On all the streets.
That's right. Yep. Justin Kowski.
Just winning races, Kowski. Right.
Yeah. Just win. I like
just win Kowski.
Just win Kowski.
I think so. I think that's his new name.
He just wins. That's all he can do.
Seems to be true.
It is. Kelseying. That's like one of my favorite verbs. You know,
like I think I'll go.
What are you doing
today?
Would you stop Kelseying all over the place? What's going on? Slow down. Lands a lot and takes off a lot too.
Yeah.
Laura Ricci Meow. So
Fast
I think
cat.
she is a fast cat. I bet I would have to put her on. Last time I saw her was at Hamster Wheel. So
Yeah, but she might be on Team Stone Cat this year. You never know, right?
Yeah, she could actually. She's got the name, right? So
Yes, yeah.
and that's actually, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Let us know. So we have Sophie Loren Edelman.
Yeah, Lauren Edelman.
Yeah. So that should be good. My phone is going crazy because all the Fun Friday people are trying to blow it up right now. We got yeah, so Lauren, I wonder what Sophia is up to now.
Like she just done she did Warmog and she did Ben's race up there.
Yeah,
and that Becky did, right?
Yeah, and also what am I saying? Didn't she do Nitbuck too?
Did she?
I think so. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. I don't even know where I am today. So we also have Law Dog. That's he's the official counsel for TJM.
Yeah, and he and Oak did Mines of Spain, but I established that it did not take place in Spain or underground, even though it's called Mines of Spain 100-miler.
That's
seems like not truth in advertising.
Yeah.
He did try to backtrack a little bit, but it said like, well, there were mines in the area and the area was owned by Spain, but I believe it's like in Iowa or something. So
no, it was more a statement like, where's your hat? And they said, oh, mine's in Spain.
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah. But it's in the wash in Spain.
That's right. Yeah, it's not in the wash.
Spain.
Mine's in Spain.
All right.
Got Lenny's mom.
Did you have Laz though?
I didn't. I'm sorry. We got Laz.
Laz. Yeah.
Yep. They have the Leanne Zarger.
Laz, who, for those of you who drink craft beer, found Hetty Topper at some small store somewhere in the hinterlands of Connecticut, which is unusual. So props to Laz.
Yeah. Lenny's mom.
She's got it going on.
Absolutely. Almost like Stacy's mom, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
We got Macho Man.
Macho Man. Yeah.
All right. We have Mark Keeley,
who I've nominated as being the person who's most likely to be able to run an ultra in a suit and dress shoes.
Well, I think that actually I would have to give the dynamic outfit award. You know who gets that in my book?
Who?
We were just talking about it. To New York Bonanno.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's, it's underrated. It's underappreciated, at least, like to run in jorts.
Yeah.
That's saying something. And then also he's running a sequin jacket too, right?
That's saying something else.
Yeah. It's saying something completely different.
Yeah.
All right. We have Mark Field. Mark up that field. We got Marty DeCow. We have the Matt Nielsen report.
All right. Nielsen Schmilson. I was just talking about Nielsen Schmilson today. Great album, everybody. You want to go back to the 70s?
By
Harry Nilsson.
Okay.
Produced by John Lennon and David Bowie.
All right. Famous for what song?
I don't even know if it's on the album, but his most famous song is probably from the movie Midnight Cowboy. That song like, everybody's talking about me. I don't hear a word they're saying. Only the echoes of my mind. That one.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. Got Michael. We have Michael K.O. Then we have Michael O'Cresty Loop.
Yeah.
He's bringing lots of runners in with those flings, right? With the spring fling and the fall fling.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant because it really does bring a lot of people in.
It is.
I have done a face plant in Lake Lopresti before they built the bridge over it. So
that is good.
I've drunk from Lake Lopresti.
I actually won the race to the lake. I was first in the lake in 2018. So,
All right.
there's a microscopic porcupine.
All right.
We have
George.
Mike. Oh, I forgot Michelle.
Oh, Michelle.
Pom Pom O'Neill.
Okay, so I walked both ways across the Edmund Pettus Bridge yesterday, and I posted a picture of it on. I didn't even post a picture of it. I just put my walk on Strava, and Michelle commented, "You went across the bridge," so she knew it right away what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I thought was pretty impressive. She knows her history.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what the Edmund Pettus Bridge is, Google it. You should know. Everybody should know.
Yeah. And it's not the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Not the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Different.
Superior, it said, never gives up her dead. When the gales of November blow early. It's not that. It's a bridge, people.
He said, fellas, it's been good to know you.
Yeah.
It's too rough to feed you.
Yeah.
There's too much fucking drama. We have Mike Reardon with the invisible yet not silent G.
Yeah.
We have Miles to the victors.
To the victors goes the Miles. No, to the
winning
Miles
everything. Okay, so if you
Miles.
want to win, find Miles. We got Monkey Stuffer.
Monkey Stuffer.
I need to spend some quality time with the Monkey Stuffer.
Isn't she terrific?
She is. We have Name. But we don't have any Zilskis. No Nats. I don't know.
Not Zilski. Oh, maybe Nat. Zilski Nats. Okay.
We have Nicole Cash and Carey.
Nicole Carey.
Yes. We have a PKO.
PKO.
Powered by Pop Tarts. Fresh off of the Womp Romp. Changing the world through that.
Built something there. Good for you, Tarts. Way to go.
Yeah. Heard lots of good things. I got to get out there for that one.
Yeah.
Rebecca Gonzalez Kreisberg, whose 7/10 of her ability is hidden from the world.
Because she's a pure iceberg.
It
right?
basically makes her superpowers. So
yeah.
You
just can't see. There's more than meets the eye. Much more than meets the eye.
Yep. Richard runs Richard runs trails on YouTube, finishes Traveler 100.
Go, Richard.
Yeah. Rob the Bear-Ass Breckenbridge. Ron Lacandro. Come on down. Then. You know what? We have Ross Belak. Now, the sad thing is that we did hear that Chandler died, right?
Yeah, Matthew Perry
from Friends.
Yeah.
That's that was too bad, but so it goes.
But Ross is still hanging in there.
Yeah, he is. So,
and
anyway.
Rachel's still here too. Ross and Rachel both.
Yeah,
You're supposed to say ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm loving it. So I saw, there's also something called the Ross Monster. I think those are like giant camper vans.
Really?
That are I think it's called the Ross Monster. So they're custom, like they're good crew vans and stuff like that. Not that they sponsor us, okay?
No, God.
Not that they gave me a free one just to say that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, they are like $200,000 or something like that. We have Rufus and Brenda Chafee, Fortin Chafee, chocolatey chicken chokers.
And that's and that's a mouthful.
That is, yes. Run the Whites at midnight on the Oasis. We have Sandy Barbells. I have Sarah Porras, who I saw out on the Tunxus Trail the other day. She was running with my wife.
So she wasn't suing or crewing.
Nope. She was just doing. She was out on the trail.
And she has a camper van that I covet. I love the old
Yes,
the old Volkswagen camper vans.
the VW. Yep.
Yeah,
Got Big Scott Johnson.
big Scotty.
That's right. We have Simon C. Edgett who did the elusive leaf hat trick with cheater sticks in his hands. So
I was going to say I saw that picture with like he cupped it to the cheater stick. That was very impressive, Simon.
it was, and in honor of that, so I went out on that run on the Tunxus with my BFF, my best forest friend, Rick O'Toole, and I caught 3 leaves as well. But I haven't caught any in a while. But all of a sudden, I caught one with my left hand, and then like 1 second later, I caught one with my right hand, and then caught another one with my right hand. So I caught 3 leaves in like 8 seconds.
And you were ambidextrous. Very good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We have the Slurpee runner,
who did a very impressive Slurpee run around Philly, right?
He did, yes.
Yep.
We have Steep Endurance. We got to get out to a Brian Vanderheiden race.
Brian Vanderheiden. Honestly, his races look kind of hard.
I know. Fuck. Maybe he has one like, I don't know, like the downhill quarter mile or something that you can walk.
I did that 4 miler up at the up in Colebrook at that brewery, and like it was a perfectly marked course. I promptly got lost, got off course, ended up like doing an extra mile, and then like I thought it was so hard that I came in. I was like, "Is this the hardest 5K course you have?" And he was like, come on, it's not even close to Mohawk. And I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah, Mohawk's straight up the fucking mountain.
That's what he said. He said, like, it's way harder to do Mohawk than it is this one. But I thought it was pretty hard, the Colebrook Brewery run.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
Gotcha. We got Ty. Yep. Then we got 10 Junk Miles is Hot Like Your Mum.
Yeah.
Got the Blue Hills Contagion. So we're going to be out hanging out with them.
Yeah.
Up at Stonecat there. So that'll be cool.
Be careful. They're contagion.
It is, yes.
It's catchy.
Masks optional.
It's optional, but it's catchy.
It is. The Lazar Us crew.
All right, Lazarus Screw.
Tom the Destroyer. Starry. Got 2 New York Banano, who's going 2 PA or 2 MA.
2 MA.
Yeah.
He's going to bring the jorts.
Banana. That's right. We got Tony D.
Tony D. DeMizio.
Yeah. We got Tunxus Jamie McCusker. Congratulations, Jamie, on another race out there in Tunxus.
Yeah, where'd he go?
I got Ultra Walker.
Who just keeps doing it. If you follow him on Strava, it's like, and then I ran between these 2 towns and I ran in these 3 towns, and he's like, it's like he's just filling up all of Connecticut. What did I say last time? It was like he's got like 1/6 of all the roads in the state or something. Yeah. It's like unbelievable.
1 in 6.
Yeah, just keeps
6
doing
and
it.
1.
6 and 1. 1. That's now that's a Doors reference, right?
It kind of is. It's convoluted.
1 to 5, 5 to 1.
Here gets out with fun or something. Got Voltammer in the refrigerator. Got Big William Jara.
By the way, before I leave Walt, I just want to say when I was out at that race in southern New Jersey, all of a sudden, like I look on the side of the course, and Walt and his wife are there. They just like came to say hi.
Oh, cool!
And it was like hours from where they live. I think they were down there because I don't know, they have a friend in that area or something. But it was very nice of them to stop by. So thanks, Walt.
Very good. Huh.
All right, William Jara.
We got
fastest shave in a race. William Jara.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, over at Midstate Massive.
Midstate Massive. He finished that race, which looked looked like pretty impressive. And then, and then go ahead, Z.
Sima Cook Desitin in the rear. So, I listen before we go back. I had one thing during the episode with Scotty, which is this episode that we're actually in the middle of now, but we're not really in the middle. And I didn't get his reaction on it. But I know Scotty's a big Bucks fan and actually a season ticket holder, right?
Yes, he is.
But I heard that. Did you hear the Flava Flav national anthem?
No, I missed that.
I just wanted to get his hot take on that. So it's
now I got to go back and listen.
It was pretty interesting. So, so yeah. Enough said. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I wondered what his take was on that one. So, so to all of our Patreons, there anybody that really listened to all of us, to Fred and I just go through all those Patreons for the last hour.
I was going to say that was the longest ever, I think.
I think so. It was maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. Reasonable amount of time in culture time.
Culture hours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for your support there. And
we care. It makes a big difference to us. So
it does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. This is the way that you guys make it possible, because to do this, otherwise, my wife would kill me for doing this. Like if I was losing incredibly huge amounts of money. And really, if you think about it, this is just we're cutting out the middleman. So
absolutely,
why feed corporate America? So, and now back to our show. Thank you, guys.
Or something.
Oh,
like that. He would yell at me.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Who's AJW?
Andrew Jones Wilkins, that guy from the Western States.
I can't do the Pluckerman imitation, but that's all.
Do we get to talk about the whole urine malarkey?
Yeah,
urine malarkey butt.
I'll talk about anything you want.
Good.
Let me just check one thing here.
No subjects off limits.
Do you know what urine the malarkey butt is?
No. What?
You got to think about it.
What?
We're gonna give you 1 minute. See if you can tell us what that stands
slowly,
for.
Say it slowly again.
Stop.
Malarkey butt.
Urine the malarkey butt.
Urine in the malarkey butt.
Nope. Urine. The malarkey butt.
I don't know.
Time.
Urine the malarkey butt.
You get it.
Urine the malarkey butt. You're in the malarkey butt. You're in the malarkey butt. I don't know. I can't put a thing. I don't know. I got construction going on around here. My whole life's turned upside down.
Ooh, I want to hear about it. Wait, Are we not allowed to talk? Can we talk
now? I think we're going to probably start once we figure out what urine the malarkey butt means.
I'm in the malarkey butt. I'm in the malarkey.
I don't think you're in the malarkey butt, but you're in the malarkey butt.
It's like
I'm in
urine.
Not. What was that?
Urine.
That's the letter of P.
Oh,
I think right in sign language.
Urine starts
what
with
you're talking about, but I'm excited about
urine.
it nonetheless.
Yeah.
Thing I wouldn't want to talk about.
All right, are you wearing a button down?
Me? No, it's a zip up. Actually, it's a quarter.
Quarter zip.
It's a quarter zip, and I hate those
quarter zip action.
Yeah, I don't like those.
I like this one. I got this for Christmas, so to put it into so it has a package for an iPad, what's that? Not an iPod, the tiny little thing, micro whatever music thing. I guess it was.
I
an
was
iPod.
thinking that maybe
It was an iPod, yeah, the
iPod,
Nano.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nano pod.
Nano.
And
I was
never-
thinking that maybe like depending on how saucy you were, you would like unzip the 3/4, and then just unzip the little nippy pocket too.
It,
If it's
it
a
could
Friday
happen.
night, I mean, if it's a Thursday night,
You're
maybe
in,
half zip the
You're
quarter
in-
zip.
you're in.
Then you're not in the malarkey butt.
You're
Something
in
to think about.
the malarkey butt.
I'm in the malarkey, but you know what they say?
But-
Everything after the butt is bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. They tried to get
Oh.
Gary Robbins in the malarkey butt.
In the malarkey butt. Everybody wants me to have Gary Robbins on the show. They're like, you should have Gary Robbins on the show.
No, he's not returning calls.
He wants nothing to do with malarkey butt. So if you're thinking I'm gonna be talking malarkey butt, then no Gary.
I'll talk malarkey butt. I don't know what it is, but I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Are you in what type of malarkey butt? Are you talking about like Eastern malarkey butt? Are you talking about Western malarkey butt?
I don't know much about Eastern malarkey butt because I'm not, that familiar with the East area. I've never done a race on the East Coast.
What about stones
Yes.
in your malarkey? What about this whole
I
stones
don't know how the
thing?
stones work. I don't know the stones.
Yeah, I don't want
It's
to.
rolling
Just like it's like the monkeys, except like they don't
Exactly.
smile. But
Exactly.
I think we could have a spirited discussion.
yeah.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
Chef.
like
Pizza
you
place.
stab the tickets on that metal thing.
Yes.
Yep.
That's where all my numbers went.
Oh,
I like that.
okay.
That's a genius.
I like that.
I'm
That's
like
a very
Art's
clever idea.
very, very pretty wall display.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. I get mixed reactions on that. Like half the time I'm like, I'm feeling I initially did it just so that ideally somebody would look back there and they'd say, oh, whatever, the Kelly race, I did that race, or, whatever, the Badger, I did that race, but like, unfortunately, sometimes I get on different video software and I'm not able to blur my background and I all of a sudden jump on a work call and it gets interesting, but I guess
that happens to me all the time. I go to court and I'm in the waiting room, or they tell you to turn off your camera until they call your case. And depending on how I logged in, I don't know how that works. Sometimes it's through Facebook. Sometimes it's either a picture of me doing something inappropriate in a trail race, or like a picture of me and my wife. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is this part of the show? Are we on the show right now?
It's all the show.
Oh, okay.
It's all the show. And it's you're in the malarkey butt, episode 262.
No, that was last week.
No, I think 261 was last week.
Are you sure?
Hold.
Yeah, 261 was last week. So this is episode 262.
Okay.
So why don't we do it officially, Scotty? Would you mind introducing the episode? It's 262.